Dreams are made or dreams are broken. The Kiwis against the Kangaroos. The Kangaroos training behind me, and the Kiwis have decided to train and prepare inside and focus on themselves. Welcome to Game Day Live on a big old Saturday. It's a super Saturday. Owen Goodbill, Stephen McCarvey. How do you think this one's going to go right now?
Well, look, there's nothing better than players playing internationals and playing in finals. Today's as good as it gets for these international players. Now, you go to the Kiwis after last week, I think they're going to be a lot more focused. The Australians, well, it hurts every time they hear they're playing against the world champion Kiwis.
Trust us, they are burning with that one. Mind you, the Kiwis are also burning with the fact that they are well beaten last week. Let's confirm the Australian lineup from Tim Sheens, and it's as per program, you might say. At the back, Billy Slater returns with Brett Morrison, Lottie Tukiri. You go into the centres, two rejuvenated centres, you might state, in Brent Tate and Willie Tonga. Then you go to the key area, the halves. Darren Lockyer, test number 54. His last game at Suncorp Stadium, possibly in the green and gold, and Cooper Cronk from the Melbourne Storm. Now this is where the area that caused all sorts of bother for the Kiwis last week, Lewis, Gallen and Sammy Thaiday. Then it's the young front rows, no Petro Sivanasiva, 44 tests, he's passed the baton, Scott, Smith and Shillington, and then to the bench, the key in any big test, Bird, Leroy Lars, Nate Miles, and the ever-present Kurt Gidley from the Newcastle Knights. When you think about this Kangaroo side, they are just awash with talent, but some have got another chance. One of those is fitter, hungrier and refreshed. His name is Brent Tate.
It's been a long time when I've been able to run out there and actually feel confident and fit. In the last, probably the back end of the Warriors season, I was really starting to find my feet and enjoy my footy, and being back in this Kangaroo environment, it's it's pretty special to be here, and I guess I'm just relishing every moment I've got there. I wasn't expected to be named in this team, but it was just a real bonus to be back here. And now that I'm back here and I've been around the guys, I guess you just feed off their confidence. And last week's game against the Kiwis was a huge, huge boost for me. And I'm just looking forward now to just staying fit and playing some football.
And Tate's playing a brand of football that puts him in elite company.
There's not many people over the course of rugby league history that have played for the Kangaroos, and to be able to be a part of that group and to be a part of that family, it's pretty special. And I don't think till when you finish and you look back at your time playing for the Kangaroos, you'll know how special it really is. I'm just relishing the chance to run out at Suncorp again and playing a big match. That's what I've really missed playing football, is playing in those real big matches, and it doesn't get much bigger than this one. And 2008 World Cup's still really fresh in my mind, so I'm really aware of what happened that night, and it's really important that we go out and put a really good performance together.
That being the case, Tate is still mindful of the threat New Zealand poses.
This Kiwi team is a very good football team, and myself and the team are aware of what they can produce, and I think the last 15 minutes that they put together last Saturday night really showed what they're capable of. And mate, this is going to be a huge match, and there's a lot on the line. And as I said, I think the World Cup, it's not motivation, but it is a good reminder of what they are capable of. Both teams are desperate to prove, they're the best in the world. And as I said, there is an expectation when you play for the Kangaroos, to perform, and that's basically our duty to go out and do that.
Brent Tate gets his game face on from about Wednesday. The one thing you notice, having watched him all through the week, we got here on Sunday, is the fact that he's extremely confident.
Well, he's playing great footy, and if you look at the form at the back of the Warriors season, he was on fire. Now, not only is he in form and confident, but so is this Australian outfit.
And you talk about people that are on form. How about a young man that decided to change his attitude at the beginning of 2010? And many say this boy has grown up as a footballer. Who is it? Sammy Thaiday.
I've really knuckled down and tried to get on top of my weight, try to get on top of my fitness and those type of things, and they've really helped me out. Even those little things that seem so simple have helped me out a lot. Playing a couple of kilos lighter has helped me play more minutes on the field, get through more work on the field, and that's made me a better player.
For Thaiday, the footballer, the change is not just physical but mental, now considered a leader.
It's a role I embrace, it's a role I enjoy, and I'm not a typical leader that's straight and narrow. I'm a bit of a clown. I like to have a bit of fun, and I like to have a joke and a giggle. But I think what's changed about me is that I know when to switch it on and off. I know when to be serious, and I know when it's time to work.
Work he does with some of the most feared back rows in the game, each bringing their own unique talents to the field.
A bit of mongrel. I think that's what I like to bring to the game. A bit of toughness, a bit of craziness, and just that support and backing up the teammates. Yeah, I like Paul Gallen's work rate. He's always busy, he's always doing something. I like Luke Lewis's ball playing abilities. And I like Greg Bird's versatility. He can play 5'8", he can play back row, he can play out in the centre, so it's a great back row. You know, he's probably the best back row in the world, and I wouldn't want to play with any other blokes. If you could have him at your club team and play with him every day and train with him every day, you wouldn't be, you would never be beaten.
Well, it's hard to argue with that. If you're an Australian fan, you've got to be excited about that back row. And Sam Thaiday, the thing I like about him is the fact that his work ethic's so high. He'll be the player that does 2 hit-ups in the set. If his side's going backwards, he'll come through with a big hit-up. He'll come in with a big shoulder charge, and he really is a leader. He's a man that doesn't take a backward step. These guys love playing beside Sam Thaiday.
You would have loved to be part of that back three. The one man that worries me in this Kangaroo back three is Paul Gallen.
Well, their back three, they have a lot of involvement in the game, and it's all quality. Paul Gallen's a player that'll top the tackle count, he'll top the hit-ups, he's got some offloads in him. So when you look at the players in their side, there's no one player that you can concentrate on shutting down, because across the park they've got strike. Yeah,
speaking of no one player you can concentrate on, familiarity is a very important part of this Kangaroo squad. Think about this, 179, what's that? Yeah, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, and vice-captain Cameron Smith.
Yeah, it's just those little areas of the game that I think that we have an advantage, where those key positions on the field are filled by 3 players that play for the same club, and we have a really good understanding of each other's game. But I think if you're 1, year 7, year 9 and year 6, who we've been lucky enough to play with a few times in Darren Lockyer, if things are running smoothly in those positions, it seems to help the rest of the side.
When it comes to decision making, Smith happily defers to Lockyer and Cronk.
My job in the side is to try and position our play the ball on the field that our halves are satisfied with, and where they think they can best attack the opposition from. I've got to try and keep the continuity of our defence together. I've got to make sure that our line speed is pretty consistent through the whole match. We've got to make sure that our big boys are working hard, to try and get back to the referee and have our line set. So, I think in a way, defensively, my job's probably a little bit more important, than when we have the ball.
Defence is key, but so is the expectation piled on players who don the green and gold jumper.
I expect a lot out of myself, and I expect to uphold the tradition of the Kangaroos. And there is a high expectation of a player playing in the Kangaroos jersey, and I expect that out of myself every time I pull that jersey on. And I'd like to think that I've done that most times I've played for Australia. And this week is about preparing well, training hard like we have in the last 3 weeks of this tournament, and making sure that come Saturday we've done everything we can to ensure that we play good football. And if we do that and we play for 80 minutes, I think we're a very good chance of winning.
Cameron Smith, one of the most intelligent footballers running around on the rugby league world. The key part of that discussion we had with him, though, his role in defence and leading the defence, Arwen.
Well, the thing I love about this Australian side is they all take ownership for a role. His role is leading the line speed, getting them up off the ground quickly, and look, they play instinctively. The key players in key positions, they'll come up with the right options when needed.
Wow, key players, key positions. How about one man that is the key? Let's think about this. Anthony Mundine, he is the man when it comes to boxing in Australia. But who's the man when it comes to rugby league in Australia? Darren Lockyer.
And this is as big as they come in terms of games. It's a final of a Four Nations. It's just like a grand final, or it's an origin match. You need to have good preparation for the game, and that really will be my focus this week. Get to the game, and the rest looks after itself in terms of, the crowd and the national anthem, the haka, that will get you ready for the game emotionally. And then after that, it's about focusing on what you need to do for your team. Fear of failure is always there, and I think that's what drives me to focus. Because I know that if I'm not focused, then my preparation isn't great, and it goes for the team as well. But you run the risk of being, you lessen your chances of being successful. and I think that's the fear of failure is something that's always driven me.
And the Kangaroos' biggest failure? Here at Suncorp a little over 2 years ago, and it still haunts them.
I sort of used that experience as a reminder, because again, the Kangaroos are going to be favourites to win this game, as they were in 08. And I don't think, someone was saying there's only 5 of us from the 08 team that's in this one. So it's not about a motivational tool, but it's, hey boys, we might be favourites to win this game, but look, if we're not playing our best footy, you know, the Kiwis are going to get us.
And they may get him in Lockyer's last test at Suncorp.
It's highly likely we will be, because I don't think there's one back at Suncorp for a while, and you know, for me that's in the background. You know, right now all my energy and focus is on the game, and as I said, you know, doing my job. And at the end of everyone's career comes to an end at some stage. It's going to be your last game on this ground or that ground. It's going to be, you know, it's just part of the process. But right now, I'm just focused on the game. So, you know, when you see your mates out on the field go into battle, come off the field as winners, there's nothing that can really replace that feeling. It's just a great euphoria after you win a big game, and I will miss that.
Well, Darren mentioned the fear of failure. Well, he'll be terrified at losing this one. He'll be doing everything in his power to win his last test here at Suncorp Stadium.
I love the idea where he said he thought he couldn't say World Cup champions, he had to say that experience. But the other key here is that Billy Slater coming back into this back line for Australia is just so good for them.
Well, you probably underestimate what role Billy Slater plays in this side. He's there, he'll talk to players during training, he pulled players aside to give them guidance. He's everywhere. His work rate is so important and impressive in this side.
Let's have a look at the Kiwis lineup and see how they shake. There are some changes. Junior Sauer's gone. This is the back line. Lance O'Hare, consecutive test number 17 and the number 1 shirt with Nightingale and Parrott. No Junior Sauer means they've shifted Simon Mannering into the centres with Sean Kenny-Dowell, New Zealand Rugby League Player of the Year. These two men have got to step it up to the plate and step it up big time. It's Benji Marshall and then it's Nathan Feen. Then we take a look into the pack. There have been changes here too. Ben Mutalinu comes off the bench with Smith, who took a knock to his calf, but he's okay. And Bronson Harrison comes into the starting lineup. Then into the front row, Big Sam McKendry, the youngster, gets a start in the final. Provisionally named on the bench. Luluai and Blair make up the starting 13. Then the bench looks like this: Isaac Luke, Greg Eastwood, Sikamano, and Frank Paul Nuasala. So that is your Kiwi 17. Well, they told us they were going to prepare inside. They're not preparing. Maybe it's just a little bit hot in the changing rooms, but there is one thing that's still burning for them. Last week's loss at Eden Park cut to the bone, and the New Zealand camp were forced into some brutal honesty.
We talked a great game last week. You know, we were back at home in Eden Park in front of a new stadium, and you know, we were going to do this, we were going to do that. But at the end of the day, that's all it was that. It was talk, and our actions were, you know, very short of what they needed to be on the night. You know, we weren't prepared to do the hard work, I suppose you could say, and get in that arm wrestle with the Australians, and you know, just back our kick chase and you know, try and grind them down, whereas they were able to do that. And you know, eventually, I think the scoreline in the end flattered us a little bit at 34-20.
Frustrated at the team's lack of application, Feen felt it affected his role in guiding them.
My job is to keep the team moving forward, and we seemed to be making a lot of errors, which you know, didn't allow us to get into that grind. And you know, I think we had something, you know, the ball 40-odd times last week, and we managed to kick the ball long 3 times. You know, a side like Australia, you can't be doing that. You've got to be consistently kicking long, backing your kick chase, you know, trying to break them down. They played exactly how we wanted to play.
If the Kiwis can play the way they want, then the premiership-winning Feen is confident New Zealand can win.
We know that if we can stick at it and play the game, you know, that we need to, we can mix it with any team in the world. The only people that are going to beat us is ourselves, and you know, that's what I truly believe. If we turn up and play how we did last week, you know, we're going to beat ourselves again. We can't afford to do that. We've got to bring our best game, and I know if we do that, we will give it a real shake, and you know, I think they know it as well.
And trust us when we say Nathan Fien was one angry man when we spoke to him about that and what had happened last week. The kicking game, though, 40 possessions and only 3 long kicks. It's something that could work to their favour if they can hold on to the ball.
Well, that's exactly it. Errors compounded last week, and they've got to get that right. Australia will try and get off to an early lead and then force the Kiwis into errors and suffocate them. But you know, Nathan Fien also is going to come under a bit of heat today. There was a bit of in the press about getting to Nathan Fien. Don't let him get away with some rough tactics that he had last week.
Yeah, Tommy Rodon goes, Bash Fien doesn't sound the same as Bash Benji does in the World Cup. You know, their call that they have on this Kiwi side is one team, one mind. Well, that one team and that one mind got a harsh dose of reality last week.
Last weekend, you know, we didn't really play to our game plan, and we were all sort of crowded around the ball, around the ruck, and Australia really just tightened up their defence, and they really dominated us in the ruck. So we'll be looking to, you know, hold a little bit of shape and get a lot more ball movement.
Well, I had a poor game last week. You know, I wasn't any good, so I think you know, this week it's just need to concentrate on my job and doing it to the best of my ability. I think, you know, first and foremost is running hard.
We gave the ball up to them in the wrong part of the field. You know, we made a few critical errors down our end of the field, and you can't do that against Australia because they punish you if you give them the ball back in their own half. So we've got to limit our mistakes and play down their end of the field.
If we can start the game well and build our sets and build our game, then I think it will go a long way to doing a good job.
We need to set the pace. We can't let them dictate the game to us. We've got to go out there firing and, you know, do everything right.
To do that, the Kiwis must be mentally prepared to bring their A game at Suncorp tonight.
For a lot of our boys, it's, you know, going to be a big game for most of them. They've played in too many finals, so I guess, you know, they have to get ready themselves for that. And you know, like myself, I've played in a few, but it's still a big part of my game, and hopefully it'll be 100% right, and, you know, I can just go out and play my game.
How strong our bond is going to be probably the X factor for us, and that will lift in that respect.
You know, we've got a talented enough side to score points and you know, defend really well, and that's what we want to try and do.
When you go out onto the football field, you shouldn't really be fearing anything. You know, we're a team, we're a good team. We've got a lot of improvements to do, and when we do, you know, they should be fearing us.
Well, brotherhood's a term that you hear quite often when you look at the Kiwis. Now, they've had Wayne Bennett into camp with them. Both him and Stephen Kearney have challenged his team to get out there and show that, put it into action. Not just words, but come off that field proud of your efforts and making sure that your brothers are proud of what you've done.
I'm beginning to wonder, is Wayne Bennett going to be the X factor for the Kiwis tonight? Because we know it was a bit harsher than that. Come on.
Well, look, there were some stern words, and I know that both of these sides have come into the game knowing that they've got to front up. They've got 80 minutes to prove that they're the best side in this Four Nations. I'm just looking forward to kick-off.
Yes, world champions against Four Nations champions. The captain, Benji Marshall, has certainly taken a lot of heat this week, and basically has fessed up and put his hand up and said, I will lead by example, I will be accountable. And that's Benji Marshall.
Well, I was disappointed myself more than anyone else, especially after the first 20. Yeah, it's just little mistakes like kicking out on the full and missing a tackle when they scored a try. Yeah, things I pride myself on being good at. And yeah, if a couple of those things didn't happen, yeah, we could have been in a better position. So I don't blame anyone else, but I am filthy on myself. I've got a big role this week in terms of direction and leadership and leading the boys where we should be on the field. I just feel like I've got to do my job for the team, and a good indication is probably the last 20 minutes of the game last week, where I looked a lot more hungry with the ball, and because I had to try and do something, and if I can adopt that attitude for the whole game, it'll be a lot better.
For Marshall to create, however, he needs his pack to do the damage in the middle, to open up the Australian defence.
One of our strengths is our forward pack, and you know, it didn't show on the weekend, but this weekend I think a lot of them got a good solid kick up the bum, and watched the tape and realised what they'd done wrong, and I'm confident that they'll all improve. You know, for us, I think it's just about, if we do the things we've been practicing at training, like we didn't do last week, we'll be a lot better.
Being Benji Marshall comes with its pressures, like having a target on his forehead, something that doesn't faze the Kiwi skipper.
If they're talking about you, they're obviously worried about you, so you know, but I'm used to it. I mean, every other test I've played, World Cup final was the same. They had the Bash Benji campaign, and then you know, you just get used to it after a while. And for me, it's you know, if they're worrying more about me, then there's 16 other guys on my team that they're not worrying about, you know. So, yeah, I know I've got a big job to do, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
For the Kiwis then, the focus is internal and how they can apply pressure to the Australian line on the road to victory.
Yeah, they tested the referee more than we did last week in terms of play the ball speed. We let them jump up and play the ball way too quick, and you let any halves play behind quick play the ball, it's just happy days. So for us, I think it's a reversal of that role. We'll try and play the ball quicker and slow them down and go a long way towards us winning anyway.
But to do that, Benji Marshall can't overplay the situation. He's a player that won't win or lose this game on his own. He needs his teammates to rally in and get behind him. He mentioned the forward pack. They've got to get the right attitude in winning the battle on the ground. Get up and play the ball fast and get your shoulders into tackles, numbers in the tackles, and slow this Australian pack down.
Yes, and Darren Lockyer said to us earlier in this week, it's all about stopping Benji Marshall. Well, there's one man that knows Benji Marshall probably more than anyone. That's his coach of the Tigers, also the coach of the Kangaroos, Tim Sheens with Lavina Good.
Well, not much went wrong at Eden Park. What have you focused on this week?
Well, much of the same, making sure that, you know, we prepare well, concentrate on our get-out sets and stopping theirs and a good kicking game, the basics, but just, you know, making sure we don't try anything stupid and you know, field position, all the usual things a coach talks about in the final.
We know that the Kiwis are capable of brilliance, especially here at Suncorp. Will defence win this match?
Defence always is your cornerstone of your game. We need to get our chances right too with the ball. You'll get a limited number of times against the Kiwis, and we need to make sure we, you know, are successful on as many of those occasions as we can. But defence, yeah, is definitely your cornerstone.
Defence is always the key to winning championships as Kiwi fans come into this wonderful stadium which is known as Suncorp Stadium, the cauldron, the cathedral. But, you know, those young Kangaroo forwards really took it to the New Zealand pack last week. They've got to slow them down. Both teams practising the wrestle on Wednesday.
Well, there's a lot of work in that, and it's a big part of the game. But if you can dominate in that area, it gives your halves and your dummy halves time to make the right decisions. The Kiwis last week were very poor at that. They didn't get enough quality ball to Benji Marshall and Nathan Feen. And I thought Luluai and Luke didn't get the opportunities that they need. So to do that, they've got to get quick play the balls, which means the forwards, they have to step up.
Yeah, and don't be surprised, should I say, too, if the Kangaroos look at the short sides, because they did a lot of practice on that, thinking they can squeeze the Kiwis.
Well, especially down that left-hand side of the field when the Kiwis last week got caught out a couple of times. They'll be going back down there again. Brent Tate, we saw him in great form. He'll get his hands on the ball as much as he can.
Got to get past Simon Mannering, I think, doesn't he? All right, let's hear what Stephen Kearney, the coach of the Kiwis, has to say with Lavina.
Stephen, if training's anything to go by, there's definitely been a lift in intensity this week for the Kiwis.
Yeah, the lads certainly prepared that way this week. Obviously, you know, knowing what's ahead of us for tonight, so you know that was imperative that we make sure that we lifted the intensity at training, and been a couple of casualties.
How important is the first 10 minutes of this match?
Well, going on last week, we've identified that it's very important. We know Australia will come out, certainly with a lot of intensity, and we need to match that. So we've had a real focus on the start.
And there are changes for this match?
Yeah, there have been from last week. So we feel that this is the best side for us this week.
One of those changes being young Sam McKendry, who'll now play in the number 19 jersey. We've just been told the young Penrith Panther getting a start in the Four Nations final. And we refer back to that 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes. Is that why they're starting McKendry? Try and match the likes of Shillington?
Yeah, I think so. And also Ben Matalino comes in. He's got a bit of head on him. So, look, it's about that first opening stanza. If the Kiwis can match it with the Australians, get themselves into the flow of the game, then I think they'll fancy their chances.
What worries you more, the fact that the Australians are so laden with talent, or the fact they come at you so quickly?
Well, a bit of both. For the Kiwis, they just have to worry about getting their shop in order. If they can get themselves playing as well as they can, then they'll give themselves a chance in this.
All right, here it is, the Four Nations final. We're not too far away from national anthems. One thing that everybody seems to worry about is how much influence Benji Marshall has on this game. How much does he have to sort of pull off the pedal, like you said, and just allow Nathan Feen to create a lot more space?
Well, I think if he can take his opportunities when they present themselves, it's going to give his side the best chance of winning this game. But to do that, he needs everyone else outside and inside performing to their best.
Excited?
Oh, very excited. I mean, what a great place to come. The final of the Four Nations. For us, this is a highlight.
All right, well, you can hear the crowd start to lift here for the final of the Four Nations in 2010. It's the Kiwis and the Kangaroos. There is one word that describes both these teams coming to this match. That word is redemption. The Kangaroos are still burning from that 2008 World Cup final, and the Kiwis are still burning from last week's performance against the Kangaroos at Eden Park. Here it is, the big show, the Four Nations final, live on the home of the great game.
2 years ago, the Kiwis shocked the planet when they won Rugby League's World Cup here in Brisbane. Tonight, they'll be looking to lift another trophy, the 2010 Four Nations, at the expense of hot favourites, the Kangaroos. Kia ora and good evening, everybody. I'm Jason Costigan, and a warm welcome from the place they call the Cauldron, Suncorp Stadium, in the heart of the Queensland capital, venue for tonight's final between New Zealand and Australia. To the cards we go. Firstly, the New Zealand side, and it's a steady back three, isn't it? High in the one, Nightingale and Perrott on the wings. In the centres, there's a change here. Sow is out injured. In comes Mannering, and of course the man of the moment, Sean Kenny-Dowell. In the halves, the captain, the maestro himself, Benji Marshall, Nathan Feen in the 7 shirt. The forward pack, a change here as well. Harrison Smith and Matt Tolino. He comes into the starting side. And up front, a special moment for McKendry into the game of his life in the front row alongside Blair. Luluwai is the hooker. And on the bench for New Zealand, Luke Eastwood, Manu and Frank Paul, the wrecking ball, Nuasala, the coach, Stephen Kearney.
I like the changes there for the New Zealand team, and I particularly like that he's pushed the big fella Eastwood back to the bench along with Sika Manu. Last week he had Pritchard and Eastwood coming off the bench, and after 20 minutes it was a good option. However, New Zealand were 3 tries down, so he's stuck with his game plan. He just hopes it gets better in the first and opening 10 minutes of it, and New Zealand plenty of strike power across the board, but more importantly on the bench.
If you've joined us late, thank you, Daryl. Daryl Halligan with those thoughts on the New Zealand side. Sow out because of a thigh problem. To the Kangaroo lineup we go, and the back three, Billy Slater is back, and the wingers Morris and Takiri. In the centres, the warrior come cowboy Brent Tate alongside his fellow Queenslander Willie Tonga. And the halves, guess who's back also? The record-breaking Darren Lockyer alongside Cooper Cronk. The forward pack, the back row of Lewis, Gallen and Thaiday. And up front, the bookends are Scott and Shillington. A changing of the guard in many respects. The hooker, of course, is Cameron Smith. And on the bench, no sign of Sivanasiva. They'll go with Bird, Leroy Lars, Miles is in for Sivanasiva, and Kurt Gidley, the coach, is the man they call Shifty, Tim Sheens.
Such a marvellous Four Nations for the Australian team, as we see some pictures of New Zealand in their last moments or two in the shed. But well-oiled is what you'd call them. Sivanasiva, not required for this one, pulled out on his own accord. A changing of the guard with Shillington and Leroy Lard, the big boppers, and also Scott called into action. Take a note of Paul Gallen. He was the instigator and the architect of a lot of the niggle last week, a lot of the slowdown and the play the ball. And the Kiwis will have to be all over him if they are to stand a show.
Yes, Paul Gallen, interestingly, Daryl, one of 4 survivors from that Australian side that was beaten by the men in black in that famous World Cup success of 08. Here comes Benji Marshall and the Kiwis. Fireworks going off in the background, and we may well see fireworks over the course of 80 minutes. Plenty of expats in the audience for this one, many of whom, of course, live in southeast Queensland nowadays. They've made the trip up the motorway from the Gold Coast and Logan City. There's McKendry, pitchfork into the biggest game of his life, of his career, just his 2nd test match. What a season it's been for him at Penrith. Wasn't even in the NRL media guide at the start of the year.
Yes, and he's numbered 19 as Darren Lockyer comes out, as he was numbered 17 in the program. And what a roar for this man.
Here he comes, Lockyer, for the final time on home soil in the green and gold. Throughout the 1980s, they saluted the king, the emperor of Lang Park, Wally Lewis. Well, this is the current version. Darren Lockyer, one of 10 Queenslanders, I kid you not, in the run-on side for the current Four Nations champions, of course, up against the current world champions. What a night this promises to be. The most capped kangaroo of all time, that man on screen at 33. Still going strong and back in the national side for this one tonight.
A nice insight into Darren Lockyer, where he said the fear of failure really drives him. Well, fortunately for Darren Lockyer, there hasn't been too much failure, especially on the big stage.
Well, everyone now rising to their feet as we stand by for the respective national anthems here at Suncorp Stadium. rendition it was. Got to defend New Zealand, and now advance Australia fair.
A former member of the 10 Tenors, who's just released a special charity Christmas album called The Christmas Gift to raise money for the Children's Cancer Institute.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
37,000 tickets, they tell me, pre-sold for this one. No doubt many fans have come through the turnstiles in the last hour or so, getting their footy fix for the final time of 2010, as we now get set for one of the great sights of international sport, with the Kiwis performing the haka.
And there we are, back to the basics, the traditional haka to get them underway. They'll regroup quickly and have some final words from Benji Marshall. But if there's silverware on offer here today, there's passion and pride as well, which go a long way to a word called performance, which is required from New Zealand this evening.
And it's a great stage, isn't it? Magical place, this place. I've had the good fortune of coming here for nearly a quarter of a century as a footy fan, a rugby league commentator. In fact, I cast my mind back. My first trip, 14 hours on the bus to come here, mesmerised by the place they used to call Lang Park. It's a former graveyard, let's not forget that. Will it be another graveyard tonight for the green and gold?
I so hope the boys' thoughts right now are of 2008 in the World Cup final, and more importantly, the hard work that went into winning it, the simple things.
We're in good hands tonight as far as the officialdom is concerned. 41-year-old, four-time NRL Grand Final referee Tony Archer is in the pink, and it's Cameron Smith to get us underway. The Kiwis running from right to left on your screen. They're defending the Milton Road end of the ground, and New Zealand with first use of possession here. The early collisions will be fired up, no doubt. Both forward packs looking to make a statement, and McKendry in his first Trans-Tasman Test match feeling a little worse for wear.
He got whacked there, particularly slow up and dazed.
We'll keep tabs on him as the New Zealanders get play up to the 20-metre line. There he is, Sam McKendry. Just getting his bearings, perhaps. And now a barnstorming run from Bronson Harrison up to the 30-metre line. A very mobile pack it is from Stephen Kearney, of course, has been in cahoots again this week with the master himself, rugby league's version of God, Wayne Bennett, as Jeremy Smith rises to play the football, 10 short of halfway, and the Kiwis go downtown, off the boot of Fiend, straight down the throat of Slater.
chasing his own kick as well with Nathan Fink. Remember last week he nearly took the head of Darius Boyd, his teammate, off. But watch the marker work from New Zealand. Australia this week have been working on markers splitting early to nullify the dummy half runs. Let's see what the Kiwis have been working on.
First penalty of the game going to the home side. A little bit of an explanation from Tony Archer for Benji Marshall. Inside the opening 90 seconds, we get the whistle of Archer and a chance for the Australians to get a fresh set here inside enemy territory. This is Luke Lewis, the 2010 NRL Lock of the Year, also picked up the international equivalent of that award. Remember, he toured the UK as a Kangaroo in 03, but has had limited opportunities in the national side since. And now cutting the ball forward for the Australians on the 30-metre line. One of the front row forwards in Shillington has had a great season as well. Lewis once more. Lewis, it's a familiar name at this place, isn't it? This is Luke, though, of course. Wally is in the house, if you're wondering, with his media commitments, as the Australians spread the ball on this right side. Lockyer to nobody, off the knees of Tate. That's okay. Tate looking to put a fend on. I reckon the ball receiver in Morris, well, he caught the ball and one of his feet, I'm sure of it, was on the sideline, and the touch, he's missed it.
Confirmed it was.
Australia now with their lock forward. Paul Gallen, tough as teak, isn't he? A lucky break it is for the Aussies. Can they profit on the last? They stack the short side. Lockyer the kick. A fumble from Ho-Ho, and pouncing on the scraps, Brent Tate. They will give the try, but the lead-up was terrible as far as the officiating's concerned. Numbers are in the frame, and the Kiwis have got every reason to be blowing up Deluxe.
Fortuitous for sure. And the roll of the dice going with Australia. But as Darren Lockyer shifts the ball and puts it nicely onto the foot, it's an easy pickup. Ho-Ho is there, tries to scoop it with the one hand. And guess who makes a habit of scoring tries? Brent Tate. Australia, they shifted the ball to the left to start with, where Benji Marshall was defending on the right for New Zealand. They had the confidence to come right over to the right-hand side and really stretch New Zealand, who, to their credit, had held them. And it was Morris who put his foot on the touchline before the ball went back into the 30, and they readdressed and came down here again. A mistake from New Zealand to start the match in Ho-Ho, and a try to Australia.
What about the mistake from the bloke wearing pink? We're going to hear more about that. An early setback it is. Certainly not insurmountable. Early days, it certainly is. And Cameron Smith, a metre in from touch on this western side of the ground. Marvellous place to come to watch the footy. Not a bad seat in the house. Not a bad kick. It's a cracker. He converts the Tate try, controversial or not. And it's the Aussies at 6-7.
Carrying on his good form from last week. Smith, and here, this will be the incident. Have a look at Morris. Does he touch the line? You betcha. There's the heel. Clear as day. What's a touchy doing? OPSM for him.
Well, they're a sponsor. I kid you not, if you're new to rugby league, but we're back live and back to the drawing board for New Zealand as we come up to 5 minutes. Gallen loves it nice and tough. Doesn't know any better. There's the man who may well be feeling the wrath of the Kiwi Brains Trust post-match. So the Australians, having got the penalty, getting the field position. Oh, my goodness! Shillington put on his backside.
Great shot to start with from Adam Blair. But testing the patience of the referee again. Have a look at the collision. Body on the line. A little bit of help from Luluai. And then getting up to play the ball. The collision was good. Needed to hit then stick as well, and couldn't quite do it.
Australia now in possession, just outside the Kiwi 30. 2 footies on the park momentarily. Cameron Smith at first receiver. He's certainly no stranger to that role. A versatile customer, a converted halfback after all. Shillington plays it back, and they go this left side towards that left channel. Well, the ball's been turned over. Nightingale has got the dregs, and the Kiwis will take that.
It was a good read from Nightingale too. They had players on the outside, so New Zealand get their chance with the football. Higher.
New Zealand shock winners in that World Cup decided 2 years ago, as we see the Kiwis get their first penalty. I was just going to make the point, in Brisbane over the years, they've had 4 successes in 21 starts in Trans-Tasman Rugby League. You cast your mind back to some famous moments, of course, in the 80s with the likes of Graham Lowe and Tank Gordon at the helm.
Wait here, boys. Willie.
And the Aussies certainly heavily back for this one, although New Zealand now with an opportunity to put some pressure on as Bronson Harrison is put to ground just outside the 30-metre line. Fiend's got it at first receiver, back on the inside, and Matalino, promoted to the starting side, will rise to play the footy. Lilawai to Mannering, wearing 12 but playing in the centres with that cork injury to Junior South from Newcastle being a late scratching. He plays it back. Fiend looking for runners. He finds his captain. Marshall keeps it going. Harrison in traffic. They finish him off. Lilawai. Smith from close range gets a bear hug from the likes of Matthew Scott.
Last one, stand Paul.
And Smith will get up and play it. 2 metres out, 1 tackle to play with. Fiend, crossfield kick, looking for Perrott, and it spills over the sideline.
A couple of things in that set there. The last tackle option and play the ball. Gallen was all over Smith. Got a habit of doing it. And then the kick, well, the kick was just too deep. I thought the one in behind, the little grubber in through the line was the option. The Fiend tested the heavens instead.
Thaiday plays it back, and Tate, the try scorer, hits it up.
2 to me, Bronson.
Terrific story he is. Made the point earlier in the tournament about his career being punctuated by so many injuries. Never ceases to amaze me when he takes the field, given all those ailments that he has incurred and had to deal with. Now the Aussies with Cooper Cronk inside the 40. Will they get the 40-20? You betcha. It's all the Kangaroos.
They set for this. And this is about as perfect as it comes. You'd think Lockyer or Smith would be the one to be kicking 40-20s in a test match. But Cooper Cronk, beautiful service, calls to his Melbourne clubmate and Smith on a platter, and Hohaya defending the middle of the field, unable to get across to his left. Bounces 1 foot before touch and then bounces out.
What about the body language?
Got to hang tough, New Zealand, periods like this. Test matches. Been asked to defend twice on their line already. This is the 3rd time.
Fade back here, Dutchy.
So the Aussies, having pitched the tent, will now fire a few shots across the bow of the Kiwis. And it's Cronk, the man who got them there. He'll play it 10 metres out. Gallen. Hard and straight.
Adam on the line. Hold. Go.
They come this right side. Thaiday looks to set up Tate.
Stand up, Fred.
Thaiday a dummy half. Lockyer back in the national side. Cronk, he's got the ball on a piece of string. It's all Australia. Nightingale, well, he was like a bug stuck in a Venus flytrap. There was no way out.
He did so well there, Nightingale. Perrott, the other winger, came and made a great read on Tate and a try-saving tackle. And when they shifted the ball across to the left, Nightingale had dropped back. You watch him. So the kick comes in from guess who? Cronk. And right here he turns, and that bounce by suspending up in the air allows the time for the 4 Australian defenders to get down and keep him in goal. As this bounces just lower, he attacks the ball and possibly gets out.
A restart for New Zealand and plenty of depth to it. A fumble from Lockyer. Luckily for the Aussies, it went backwards. Here comes Shillington. Oh! Big contact once more. Smith to Matthew Scott, the Cowboy of 2010, and a very ordinary Cowboy side too. Have a look at that. Get that, India. Plenty of venom on the return it was. Lockyer, here's trouble. Here's Slater. Slater across. Oh my goodness, it breaks down. Morris was expecting the football. Problems for Billy the Kid. But there was trouble brewing big time.
This Australia attack is not only testing New Zealand, in a way it's toying with them. The width they are playing with and the speed they're playing at is just creating numbers on numbers. Look at Slater. Perrott backs off and does so well. Forces the pass over the top. And then Billy Slater gets cleaned up after he shifted the ball out with a shoulder charge from O'Hire. It's a test match.
It is a test match, and I've got no complaint whatsoever there. There's a few raspberries for the match officials, but we've got footballers out there, gladiators perhaps, certainly not powder puffs, so no penalty forthcoming. You wouldn't expect it.
Time to learn here from New Zealand. Australia come off their line, set themselves for a long kick in a 40-20. It's exactly what New Zealand need to work to in this set of 6.
This is Simon Mannering. Centre or back row. An 80-minute player, he certainly is. Bronson Harrison. New Zealand with Smith toiling away. Luluwai says, let's come this left side. Marshall. Now a buffeting run from Matalino. Blair. 10 short of halfway. He goes straight up the middle. And now the last is upon the Kiwis. Must get the kick away. Fiend putting boot to ball. And here comes Takiri. Dealt with by Nightingale. Goes close to the sideline. Loses the ball. Oh, a stuff up from Lottie Takiri. Kangaroo Wallaby and back as a kangaroo. Well, he'll be looking for a shovel to dig a hole after that.
He got back so early, Lottie Takiri, and got dropped off by Slater. And then they just managed to suspend his weight up in the air. Great work from SKD, Sean Kenny-Dow, and also Nightingale. He was disappointed in that, Lottie. Tried to flick the ball back in field shortly before going into the line.
Sean Kenny-Dow, well, a man who's more familiar or perhaps at home with the attacking side of the game, but doing the job in the other respect. New Zealand now with O'Hire, who gets buckled over awkwardly, courtesy of Thaiday. 25 away. Almost 14 gone. McKendry.
You want to look at McKendry and Shillington. They got their numbers, each of them, the young front rowers.
May it long continue. Big careers in front of them at this level. Smith plays it back. That's the 10-metre line you can see. Luluwai holds it up for Fiend. And now Marshall. Mannering. Can he pop the ball? No, not this time. Archer tells the Australians to get onside. O'Hire. Not sure where to go. Blair. Under siege. 5th and final coming up. What have they got on this play? Fiend. And the kick has been killed. Lottie Takiri taking no chances whatsoever.
Nathan Fiend so flogged that football, I thought it was going to go miles dead. As we see the Brains Trust and Iro and Kearney. But Lottie Takiri, he made a late play at the ball when it seemed like it was going to go into touch anyway. So the repeat set comes from New Zealand and a great chance to build some pressure.
Stephen Kearney tonight returning to the ground where he made his test debut back in 1993 out of the Western Suburbs Magpies, and has a competition named after him in the Wellington area, where of course he hails from. And on that note, congratulations to their boys from Upper Hutt College as we get back to business here at the Cauldron, Suncorp Stadium, and McKendry in the thick of it as we see the follow-up now from Blair.
Hold, mate, hold.
Luluwai, Fiend, the spill from Matalino. Well, at this level, you're entitled to catch the steed, and the Aussies have it all under control.
Disappointing, let off the hook. Difficult catch right at the line for Matalino.
Hold one off now. Jeremy, hold.
Gallen plays it back for Tate. And there's that characteristic sortie out of dummy half. It's become synonymous with his play ever since he joined the big time from the Redcliffe Club. And here's his future Cowboys teammate, Willie Tonga, although there is good mail that he could end up at the Broncos in the aftermath of the Greg Inglis fiasco. The kick downtown has come off a Kiwi. Hohaia's got it and is banged down 35 out from his own goal line as Greg Eastwood anxiously awaits his arrival into the battle. High tackle on Mannering. They haven't missed it. Leroy Lars.
I was just about to say New Zealand is so bunched in attack in the middle of the field as McKendry gets a rest. Eastwood will come on. Had some spark, a little bit of footwork at the line. Catches Leroy Lars, who had only just got onto the field with a sloppy tackle, one would suggest, as the arm wraps around the throat. But New Zealand didn't really have much happening in that set. They were all bunched. Need a little bit of structure. Players holding some width.
Here, boys. Sam.
So New Zealand now on the attack with Matalino. Smith, Eastwood, his first touch of the final of 2010. Walking off the mark, lucky not to have been penalised for mine. Marshall, Mannering. Oh! What the heck happened there? Brent Tate is in trouble. Maybe very much accidental, but holy durly, everyone in the stadium was holding their collective breath.
Just the momentum of your body going the wrong way as Tate comes in on his right shoulder and actually cops Mannering quite high and suspended in the air, forcing him to tumble turn.
Tumble turn? I don't wash my clothes like that.
Up now!
Matalino plays it back for Luluai. Eastwood, Blair, and now Smith. Eventually goes to ground, ridden into the ground by Smith.
Play the ball, Jeremy.
Almost a second effort. In fact, there was, as they go to the right side with Marshall, the step, the jeep, the weave.
3, Cameron.
5 metres out.
Go.
Pressure building on the green and goals. Luluai has a crack himself.
Oh, you're short. Stand up top.
Battle stations here for the Kangaroos. Fee, crossfield kick. Perrott. Has he timed his run? Not quite, couldn't latch onto the football. It's come off Perrott and the pressure off the Aussies.
Again, it's the left-hand side that New Zealand want to contest with Perrott, who's normally a right winger for the Roosters, playing on the left, but aerial skills are spot on. So for the second time, they go that way. And here is the interaction in the middle of the field. Australia going direct. New Zealand trying to play their ruckmen across the middle of the park with little tip-ons as Fireday gets it started from the 20, makes it to the 30.
We come up to the midway point of the opening stanza. The completion rate very impressive for the Kiwis. And conversely, I'm not sure if Tim Sheens would be content with those stats for his side. More changes here for the Aussies. Bird, fresh man on the park. 80 minutes last week at Eden Park. Here they go with Bird and Tonga on this left channel, and he got snuffed out in no uncertain terms.
Adam Blair.
So the Australians with Gallen, there's Tonga, thinking, where am I? On the last, Cooper Cronk goes to the heavens. Who will defuse this one? Perrott, good catch. Tate was bearing down on him. Hohaya.
Surrender! Stand now, two.
Gets a bear hug from Tommy Leroy Lars.
3, Cooper to me. Play it there, Sam, play it there.
If you joined us late, the only points of the match of the final thus far coming courtesy of a try to Brent Tate, but a very controversial try, it must be said, converted by Cameron Smith as New Zealand put it in a very deep kick. That's not such a bad result. I reckon Morris was thinking, please keep going towards the Caxton.
One of the great
pubs here in Brisbane.
It was a great kick from New Zealand because it found space. Slater was late getting back. We see Sheens and Ferner in their coaching box. But to roll dead, hurt.
It was a big kick. Thaiday cuts it upfield. Gavin Allen also in that coach's box, part of the Australian team hierarchy, former Bronco hard man, origin player. Thought there might have been a fumble there in the ruck, but play's allowed to continue. Archer says get on with the job. And a push and shove involving Slater and Thomas Luluwai. Thaiday. Smith, Lockyer, Lewis on this right side now. A menacing run once more. And has he been hurt? He certainly has. Jeremy Smith in a fine show of sportsmanship, signalling to Tony Archer to call a halt. Obviously apparent straight away that his nemesis has come to grief.
Talented ball player is Luke Lewis. And he runs a nice hole down the right edge here. Now last week he didn't play because of his knee, and I spoke to him just before the match and he said he had a pinch, he could have played last week. This looks like an ankle problem. Great ball from Lockyer. Goes inside Fiend, nearly punches through. Luluwai it is. Or should I say Smith, who finally grabs him down, and hard to notice there. Got arms and legs going everywhere.
Hey? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
There's a signal. Hand across the neck. He's finished for the night, says the trainer.
So something for Tim Sheens to think about. A blow here to the Kangaroos with Lewis seemingly gone for the night.
Greg Bird will slip out into the back row position in place of Lewis. He plays on the right-hand side for the Gold Coast, which is exactly where Lewis plays for the Penrith Panthers. So plenty of artillery for Coach Sheens to work with.
We're going to wait for the replacement, mate.
So Luke Lewis in just his 7th Test match, and as I said earlier in the call tonight, first got a taste of international footy back in '03 with the Kangaroo tour to the UK and France. Will take no further part in the final of 2010. And Nate Miles, who is among the new batch of Kangaroos, has taken his place. And now Lockyer with a big bomb, a super bomb. Who's got a touch on that? Oh, well, Lockyer. His bomb has almost got a result for the Kangaroos. Hohire, luckily for the Kiwis, got back there. And Marshall surely must go to ground to avoid 6 more.
Exciting play. The kick of Lockyer. He's such a sweet timer of the football. Sean Kenny out, trying to get the ruck started for New Zealand. 3 gone, 10 out.
What about the bomb? Eastwood. Talk about timing. .22.5 gone, a fumble at the ruck. Oh dear.
Thomas Luluwai, I actually thought he should have passed to Frank Paul Nuasala on his right, but the option to run was there for him as well. And Nate Miles only just on the field. That's where I thought he should have passed to Frank Paul on his right. And in the ruck, as we see him get up to play the football, being held down.
Well, if you're wondering why the referees pull that up, when the ball is going to be played, the ball must initially go backwards, and hence Tony Archer had no alternative but to blow the whistle. Lockyer, Slater, inside ball, Tate the try scorer. Can't promote the football.
Good defence from Eastwood, pushing up on the inside.
Thaiday. 25 metres away, attacking the southern end, or the Milton Road end of Suncorp. Slater looking to bury those demons from 08. Tonga, he spills the lollies. Knock on, says the referee. Well, I tell you what, there's several thousand on the eastern side of the ground. They'd like a piece of Tony Archer after that call.
Looked like it had gone backwards. With Australia chance their arm with a couple of balls over the top. It's not the first one Billy Slater's passed tonight, but it was good pressure defence from New Zealand. They kept creeping forward, keep attacking the players, making them play, making them force a pass. As Isaac Luke got a new haircut.
He's been into Stefan in the mall during the day, perhaps. Famous hairdressing tycoon in this part of the world. 24 gone. Kenny Dowell plays it back. New Zealand trailing by just one converted try.
2! Up now! Go!
And now good shot. Oh, Gallen with a monstering tackle on Frank Paul.
He come from 4 wide.
Oh! And the big hits just keep on coming. And Mannering gets a close-up at the turf here at Suncorp. Fiend says, I've had a gutful of this. He finds the line, and the Kiwis, after being under the pump, they will take that.
This is what we missed last week. Big, long raking kicks from a half or a 5'8", whether it's Benji or whether it's Nathan Fiend. Thomas Luluai more adept at the short kicking game. Just outside the 40. There's Gallen coming in from 4 wide, as I called. The next ruck, Mannering takes it and gets absolutely hammered. So when the ruck's going backwards, revert to the boot. Just outside the 40. He knew it as well, but a perfect kick.
I think Billy Slater knew it too. Not that he could have done too much about it. Tony Otto and Stephen Kearney looking on. 14 and a half out from the break. Tonga goes to ground inside the Australian red zone. Thiago. Nathan Fiend, a great foil for Benji Marshall, is he not?
Thomas move!
And Leroy Lars, this big bopper, plays it back. Cronk says, let's keep it going, and Gallen keeps those legs pumping like pistons. They're not long, but my goodness, they get the job done.
They do well. They got the ball to the edge, exactly where Benji Marshall's defending. And Gallen running at Marshall. Benji did well to stop him.
Last one, Jason!
There he is, Paul Gallen on the last. Cronk, low trajectory kick. Will it pull up in the end goal? Will it what? Parrott, a sense of urgency, does well. O'Hire gets rid of Tate. Oh, the ball's spilt loose. I reckon Lockyer got a piece of it. He was entitled to do that. And the pressure back on New Zealand all of a sudden.
Lost ball there. Jeremy Smith's come up with it. Well, somewhat of a Cumberland throw.
Cumberland throw. Well, that's a flashback to Parramatta days from many, many moons ago. Jeremy Smith.
It was something Alfie Langer used to do on a dime. He'd bring the biggest guy down there. Leroy Lars is massive. He turns as he gets him, gets a good rip on the ball as well with his right hand. So it's one-on-one, play on.
Well, the Cumberland throw, all jokes aside, is outlawed. You can't do it. And I'm sure Alan Langer is somewhere in the house. And what's the bet? That court jester from Ipswich is laughing his head off. He tells me he'd like to become the mayor, but he's got that many jobs. The Broncos and Queensland. This is Kenny Dowell.
Paul Gallen!
But it was certainly a good play from the Kiwi point of view. Just when we thought that the Aussies had more possession, more ammunition. Sikamanu plays it back for Luke. O'Hire spots an opening, but it closes quickly. Luke sporting a very fancy hairdo. Marshall with a bomb. And the Aussies have got it, or have they? They've knocked on. Takiri has fluffed it again.
Well, he called it pretty quickly. You wouldn't really consider this ball was contested. I like the set of 6 from New Zealand. They challenged to the left before going over to the right. with the kick. And yes, Nightingale gets up to actually get in the road of Takiri. So Takiri touches it first, and then it ricochets into the contester and Nightingale.
Well, that certainly does constitute the knock-on, although Takiri was perhaps arguing the point that the ball went back towards his own goal line, but that's purely academic. Fiend with the put-in. Marshall's got the ball. Marshall to Manning! Tries to dispatch Brent Tate, but Tate stuck to his guns. It breaks down for the Kiwis. And Frank Paul Nuasala would like to have that all over again.
Frustrating times. Benji Marshall had done so well. He'd count numbers as we get Archer having a chat to Isaac Luke. He'd given a great ball to Mannering.
Keep it out of it. Don't come on here and start doing that stuff.
And a bit of indiscretion. Isaac Luke got his way last week up against Leroy last.
Or Shillington.
Shillington didn't get away with it this week.
What's the bet? They come into close contact a little later on. I'm sure Shillington hasn't forgotten. Anyway, the Australians are 10 short of halfway. And here's Thaiday.
Fiend went on him as well. Thaiday just wanted to run straight at Nathan Fiend.
Well, Fiend, he's a tough cookie. His father, Arthur Artie, played in the forward pack in bush football in the wild, wild west of Queensland. There's a bit of a chip off the old block, is Nathan Fiend. The old adage in rugby league, they can't run without legs, regardless of how big they are. He's pretty big. Leroy Lars, he plays it back for Smith. Thaiday promotes the ball for Tate. Tate spots a gap. It closes quickly and just as well for the Kiwis. Manu got there. Leroy Lars back for Smith. And Cameron Smith goes to ground eventually. Last has been signalled. They're 22 away, centre of the park. Cronk playing in a dinner suit. Parrott catches it and goes to ground. Well, he was looking for the anchor.
Great effort from Parrott. The kick was perfect, landing 1 metre out from the line. And as he caught it, he's just drifted back into the goal area. 3 Australians on him and he got it into play. Great work. Nightingale off his right wing to come and do some work, help out some tiring forwards.
Kenny Dow, upended. Again, plenty of vigour in the tackle. This is much better from the New Zealanders. That's the quickest way to the opponent's try line, and the man playing the football, Nuasala, knows exactly that. Marshall downtown, straight down the throat of Slater. Here's Morris.
Such an important period. New Zealand only getting to the 35 before the kick on that set after coming off their line. Takiri goes back to the middle. Australia started the set on the 40.
Certainly this match in stark contrast to what we saw last week at Eden Park. A fumble here from Gallen. His face telling the story. A man who sets very high benchmarks in all facets of the game.
He leads the tackle count for Australia this evening with 20. So some of the work rate possibly coming into play. It was right in the belly button. His hands let him down. A little bit of fatigue.
And his self-admonishment, just confirming those high benchmarks that he has set himself, whether he's playing for Cronulla, New South Wales or the Kangaroos. Let's take this opportunity here in the late part of the first half to get an injury update from our sideline eye. Stephen McIver, good evening.
Yeah, evening, Costa. Just a quick note that Luke Lewis's note is well and truly over. The boots are off and the ice is on the right ankle. But just keep an eye on Brent Tate, also Sam Thaiday. Tate's been limping for about 20 minutes. He comes in and out of that and Sam Thaiday in the tackle about 10 minutes ago got up very slowly and is looking very ginger. The Kangaroos are hurting.
Well, they could be hurting more, Stephen, if New Zealand can put some points on here. in the run-up to Oranges. Let's see what they've got to offer. Fiend and Marshall. Manu's away, a blocking run. 15 away, quick play the ball required. Fiend seizing the moment. Marshall flying to ground. One more to play with. The Aussies on their own goal line. Ho higher, crossfield kick. Takiri's being peppered, stacks on the mill, and it's come off the Kiwis.
Unfortunate. Created a fantastic attacking set of 6 with Marshall, who predominantly in the tournament worked on the right, shifting across to the left. And Sika Manu found some marvellous yards right up the middle, back towards the post. And then when they ran out of numbers again, the chance to go to the air. But Australia, with Takiri, able to force the ball over the in-goal area.
Brent Tate, again, surprise, surprise, out of dummy half, and this time they were waiting for him.
Stand now, 3, hold, go.
Lockyer. Kick's been charged down, Eastwood. Will he get the bounce? Will he dive on the ball? Good boy, Greg Eastwood. Professional play under the circumstances. He did not panic.
I wanted the bounce to see if he could go the distance.
This is Bronson Harrison. Well, this is a great opportunity. Look where they are. They're 15 away. Looking to level the test match. The Four Nations final of 2010. Inside the final 5 minutes of the opening stanza. Marshall, Fiend. He keeps it going. Mannering with a chance. Mannering in the corner. They shut him down. They come back to Fiend. Ho higher. There's no way through there. Cooper Cronk, smothering tackle on the last. Oh, silky play from Marshall and Kenny Dowell. He capitalises on Benji brilliance, and the Kiwis are on the board in the final of 2010.
This is brilliance from Marshall. Known for his flick passes and his stepping. And we just thought he'd been spending most of the time on the left-hand side of the field. Watch this on the right. He holds his pass up perfect. That ball normally goes out the back. Sean Kenny Dowell holds his depth and then runs straight into the hole. Finishes it off a little closer to the post. But it was magnificent. Straight line. Brilliance from the magician in Marshall. Oh, spectacular. Needed something, New Zealand. They got it.
Sean Kenny Dowell, what a bumper harvest he has enjoyed this year.
Quiet by his own terms last week. I had a look at his numbers 60 minutes into the game last week, and he had only had 4 runs. Sure, the ball didn't go his way. He's had 5 in the first half this week. None more important than that one is Benji Marshall with the job of levelling.
Marshall, 19 out from goal, 15 in from touch. There's the angle, there's the kick, never in doubt. Never in doubt. And the expats, they love what they see, and why not? It's even Stevens at the cauldron.
So finally an equal share of football for the Kiwis. The charge down started it with Eastwood, and here's the finishing touch. Harrison the outside, Kenny Dowell the unders line, and into a marvellous hole, big hole. Tonga well caught out in defence, had nowhere to go. You watch him, he goes towards Harrison, which opens up the hole, and Kenny Dowell goes straight into it.
Cameron Smith sends us into the next chapter. Fiend the catch. So this will do New Zealand's confidence the world of good. Nuasala getting up to play the football. A lot more tackling for the Roos in the last 5 minutes. And the Kiwis, well, they won't be complaining. Greg Eastwood. wearing 8, was named to start, but coming off the bench for this one. Here's Blair.
4, Greg, move!
10 short of halfway. Luke at dummy half. And Marshall
Adam Blair, stay
with the big
Adam Blair, stay 10.
super boot. Goes dead in goal. So they'll set the line at the northern end of the ground.
He was outside the 40, Benji Marshall, and he gave the ball plenty of height. Thought Slater could have had a crack at catching it on the full, letting it bounce. And such a high kick could have bounced anywhere, but it goes dead. You had a feeling New Zealand just wanted to get to their kick in that set of 6 after scoring points, which is a good ploy.
Hold on, off now!
Scott plays it back. And now for the Australians, some second phase. Takiri keeps it going.
2-second move!
Takiri not having a happy night, coming in off his left wing to get more involved, maybe to restore some lost confidence. Ball goes to ground, and they'll pack it down here. And I reckon the Kiwis will rush to pack the scrum here, because they might get a couple of plays, and don't be surprised on the back of that if they have a crack at the one-pointer.
Just a little sense of panic, should I say, creeping into the Australian game. Some handling errors we haven't seen for a little while. As the arm wrestle grows on, the intensity goes up. Level on the scoreboard.
Incredibly, New Zealand, despite their success 2 years ago at this venue, missing out, of course, on last year's Four Nations final in the UK. But since then, of course, a narrow loss in Melbourne in early May, before going down last week at Eden Park. So here we go in the final seconds of the first half. Mannering. Well, what's going on there? No penalty forthcoming. I can't believe that Greg Bird was allowed to get away with that. Now, Marshall launches the field goal. Siren goes in the background. The Kiwis have still got it. A kick from Hohire. And Billy Slater will eventually submit. And that is one half in the books. Half-time here in the final of 2010. And it's locked up at 6 apiece. And a fiery end. Oh, there's a punch-up going on here. Right here. Punch is being thrown after the siren. I don't believe it. It's turned into a powder keg before they head up the tunnel. Now we've got order being restored, and half-time, a fiery end of the first half, a bushfire. 6-6 at the Cauldron. Stay with us.
Well, Tony Archer has called both captains out. Lockyer and Marshall about to get a dressing down. Nathan Feen was still going on at the end there. They were walking towards the tunnel. There was 2 Australians on him as well.
Well, I was about to put the kettle on.
It's all right, mate.
I was about to leave the building for a second.
I'd love to see you instigated this. If it was an Australian, there'll be a penalty. What's going on here? Push and shove with Tatey. Adam Blair gives a bit of a shove and push and retribution. Blair throws the first punch.
Calm, right? They come out with that attitude again, I'll start sitting blokes down, right? So that's it. We're going in
Eastwood
there.
gets a lucky one in.
Okay? Same for you, Benji. Let's go, boys.
So,
well, we've had a bit of a lecture, and everyone's been told to cool it. Half-time is now officially upon us. Well, stay with us. 6-6 at half-time in the final. We'll have more after this. Don't go away.
6-all at half-time here at Suncorp Stadium. I got to tell you something right now. This place is starting to jump. 6-all, and then there's a bit of a dust-up at the end. And there's one team that's hurting, and it's not your team, the Kiwis. The Kangaroos, they are feeling the heat right now.
Well, they are. The Kiwis are doing a great job. They're just trying to play them in their territory. And the men coming in to make that third-man tackle, they're coming in with a bit of purpose, a bit of love for them. So there's a few Australian boys sore and tired on the bench.
Well, there is no love lost. Nathan Feen walked about that far away, but it's coming off, and he was just... It was like this. They are loving this right now, and I think they feel they're on top, particularly now that the Australian bench is down to 3, with Luke Lewis now out for the duration of this Four Nations final. Let's look at the highlights, because it was the Australians that struck first, albeit albeit by a dodgy foot there by Brett Morris that wasn't picked up by the line referee. But again, they just started switching on early.
And it's coming down the short sides. We knew that they were going to do that. Brent Tate, no surprise that he featured in this first try, but Lance O'Hire just needed to be in the right position there. He overran the ball a little.
Yeah, Brent Tate feeling the heat, as was Simon Mannering, and they get a penalty out of this one. And then you start seeing uncharacteristic errors. They decide to take a safe option, go to the air rather than run it. Almost pays off, doesn't do so.
Well, they've done that a couple of times, gone high. But here we see a bit of tough defence from the Australians. Now, the Kiwis aren't coming up with the hits that you'd go, ooh, but what they are doing is getting their bodies in line.
Critical moment here. Greg Eastwood of the charge down on the kick, and this will lead to the Sean Kenny-Dale try. Beautiful flat ball from Benji Marshall, and SKD goes in.
Well, great footwork here. First the pass from Marshall. Passes the ball just behind the line, and the reason it looks a little forward is because he got pushed back. But Sean Kenny-Dale, great footwork, running the ball at pace.
Sean Kenny-Dale, New Zealand Rugby League Player of the Year, ties it up with Benji Marshall's beautiful conversion. And then you get a little what we like to see, and I don't mind saying it, Test Rugby League. The fans behind us, and they are all Australian, mind you, didn't actually take too kindly to it, but there were a few whoops and a wail, and you got to say that's what it's all about. Tony Archer settled the captains down. This place is just electric right now.
Well, it is now. It's very important for both these sides, particularly the Kiwis going in at half-time after getting the blood boiling with throwing a few punches, to come back and play to the game plan. At the moment, they're on top. They're playing the position game. They're also playing the possession game. So it's all good for Stephen Kearney's men at the moment.
Yes, and if I was a reader of body language would be a great thing, because the Kiwis are on a high and the Kangaroos have got their heads hanging. Here are the numbers. Look at the complete sets by the Kiwis, 17 plays 11.
And also incompleted sets. Australia, they won't be happy with that. They've been forced into errors through good defence from the Kiwis.
Look at the second page. Plenty of offloads by the Kiwis. 11 plays, 9 missed tackles, and tackles doing okay. This one's hanging in the balance, obviously with 6-all. I don't mind being biased for once. I have a sense the Kiwis are going into the second half with a psychological edge.
Well, they are, and the great thing is that Benji Marshall's taking the opportunities when they're presented. He's not overplaying in that later in that first half. We saw him feature a lot more, taking the right options, and they're looking great.
Hold on, footy fans. The second 40, the 2010 Four Nations final is on the way. It's 6-all. Kiwis Kangaroos live from Suncorp on the home of the great game. Can't wait for the second half.
Welcome back to Suncorp Stadium at half-time. Well, these pictures are going to be shock horror to anyone watching around the rugby league world. Brent Tate, the injury-riddled Brent Tate, has suffered a knee injury. We have been reliably told by the medical staff at the Kangaroos. You can draw your own conclusions, but looking at those pictures, Brent Tate, spare a thought for him right now, being consoled as we speak by Brian Hyder, the Kangaroo trainer. Breaking news, needless to say, here at Suncorp Stadium, half-time in this final of 2010 of the Four Nations, and this match very much poised on a knife's edge at 6-6.
That's really sad to see Tatey breaking down on something we don't often see, and thoughts go out to his family. But let's move on to this test match now with the Kiwis, who really rallied in the last 10 of that half to put themselves right back in the frame. Australia were far too quick out of the blocks once again in the test match, and were first to score and had the upper hand. However, some errors crept into their game. New Zealand decided to hang tough for a while. And a little bit of brilliance from Benji Marshall on the right-hand side, followed by a nice line by Kenny-Dale, put some level on the scoreboard. The work now starts again, however. The arm wrestle has started. You see Steve Kearney talking to his halves over there, Nathan Feen and Benji Marshall. I so hope he's reiterating the long kicks from Feen. They were instrumental in the comeback in the second half. The kicking game required as well. And now some last-minute instructions.
I tell you what, the mood in the Kiwi camp surely must be a lot more buoyant than in the Australian change rooms. That try coming 4 minutes before halftime, the Kenny-Dale try, maybe a question mark on the pass, but as they say in the classics, it's fish and chip paper. You go and buy some mackerel on the shores of Moreton Bay tomorrow. You can read about it there while you feed the seagulls. It is 6-6, I kid you not. And this trophy is well and truly up for grabs.
And now the experience of this Australian side and the new leaders in Thaiday and Gallen. Of course, Lockyer to come to the fore. No Sivanasiva to rest on. Cameron Smith perhaps to lead them round in the second half. The changes with no Tate for the second half. We'll see Kurt Gidley come into the frame. Perhaps he'll play out on that edge. Luke Lewis would have shifted out there, but Lewis has also gone for the evening, so that's 2 down.
Oh, they're skinny. They are skinny, the Aussies. And they're a pretty well-educated crowd here, although, as I said at the top of the show, a lot of support for the Kiwis here tonight. A number of supporters have in fact made the trip across the Tasman. I saw a number of supporters coming in tour groups into Brisbane today, in fact, ahead of the big one.
So as New Zealand get ready to come back out, just who were the workers? Eastwood, even though he's in number 8, a starting number, he came off the bench and didn't come off the bench until 20 minutes into the match. He leads the hit-ups for the Kiwis with 6 in the forwards. In second row, Simon Mannering, who's playing in the centres, is having a whale of a game. Benji Marshall's found him many a time out on the left edge. He has 10 to his name.
Well, I'm not sure how many are in the house here tonight, but it's Darren Lockyer's final game on Aussie soil. It's pretty well documented that that is the case. In a green and gold jumper, that is.
What do you reckon the body language tells you there?
Well,
a bit of calm there.
Well, this is his 54th Test cap, and he'll be drawing on all that experience. You cast your mind back to 2006 and his heroics there when Australia stole victory in Golden Point extra time when Thurston made the bust and Lockyer backed him up. And even if you want to go back to 2000 when Frank Endicott's Kiwis were put to sleep at Old Trafford, he's climbed so many mountains. The most capped kangaroo of all time, as his opponent Benji Marshall lead out the men in black. They have 40 minutes to do the business. Points tonight coming at a premium, just 1 try apiece. And out come the green and gold.
Intriguing. The first time in the Four Nations that Australia's really been asked some questions. So with 40 minutes to go in this tournament, locked up 6-all, it's what everyone was after. They wanted a contest, wanted a game to go to the wire. Looked like we got one underway.
Well, they went alone. Grant Tate with another knee reconstruction in the offing, we have been told. A man who's been to hell and back in rugby league. Dear oh dear. We are back underway. Second half action in the final of 2010. Lockyer the catch and Scott the carry. And as I said, going through the team cards here tonight, a real changing of the guard chook with Sivanasiva putting his hand up before the 17 was finalised. He basically withdrew himself from the battle. And Matthew Scott, the man seemingly who's going to take that mantle, as we see Australia on this left side with Greg Bird. Just for a fleeting moment, I thought he was going to slip the ball away with some very deft ball work. Takiri plays it back. They come the short side. And an awkward, well, an illegal tackle. Kenny Dow's been penalised.
So there's one of the casualties, and Lewis chewing on a snake on the bench as Kenny Dow gets stepped by Burt, his second involvement in the set of 6.
Well, it's more clumsy than anything.
There's your mark, mate.
It gives him a bit of roughing up on the ground as well. And as we thought, Kurt Gidley has gone into the right centre position for Australia. So he'll play inside Brett Morris.
Well, he's arguably the most versatile player in the competition, the NRL. So he is a real stopgap player. He can plug the gap. Shillington's got the football, the Dally M prop of 2010. He plays it back for Smith. Cronk, Scott, he's the ramrod. Restrained on the 20-metre line. 90 seconds gone in the second half. Shillington.
3.
Finished off by Eastwood. The offload is prevented. 10 away. They come the left side. Lockyer back on the inside to Bird. Quick play the ball. A dummy out of dummy half from Smith. Oh! What happened there?
He's more tripped over the tackle with Isaac Luke and ended up on his neck.
On the last, there's a kick in behind the line from Bird. Kiwis have forced it. A bizarre passage of play, it certainly was.
It was a little bit messy from Australia. They've been pretty clinical with their sets of 6. Right there, Cameron Smith going backwards. Isaac Luke sort of hides down behind him.
Base over apex.
And then it was up to Greg Bird to put the little kick in. Ricocheted off a couple of players, but he forces
Stay
the
behind.
Kiwis into a line dropout.
We had a physics experiment. Back underway, 50 on the fly. Slater the catch, Shillington the carry. He steams upfield.
Have 1, Bronson, move!
Smith serves it up on a platter.
Quicker running!
For Bird. Smith. Scott. Offend. Big man. Offload. In traffic. It was a low percentage play. And he pays the price.
Well, Australia, with their big men taking on the Kiwis right up the middle and having some success with it too to start this match. New Zealand yet to have a play the ball. And as Scott goes up the middle, he gets a big palm onto Isaac Luke, and then a tackle of Bronson Harrison. Shifty Sheens is filthy.
Well, he might have to go to the chemist to get a tablet, but while he does that, let's go to Stephen with his halftime report.
Lads, bad news for Brent Tate. All Warrior fans will feel for him, all Kangaroo fans will feel for him as well. He's gone for the night, and it could be gone for possibly a long time than many of us suggest. I just spoke to the King, Wally Lewis, and he was told me that Brent Tate looked him in the eyes and said, I'm not playing again. That's it, he said. Now, maybe a heat of an emotion at the moment, but it suggests that maybe it looks like it could be unconfirmed, another reconstruction for Brent Tate, but there is enormous emotion. His mum's gone in, his wife Lani's gone in, and it's just a very, very sad night for Brent Tate. On the other side, the Kiwis are preaching defence, 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 get into the contact, and you never know what might happen.
Well, a lucky break going their way here as well, as the Kiwis rake it out of their own end. Sika Manu takes a good grab. Darren Lockyer, have a look at the work from him. Was it ripped well? The arm from Lockyer pulls up. Yes, it was.
Hold it, boys.
Tony Archer's not going to tolerate that, and it certainly goes without saying that our thoughts and prayers are with Brent Tate and his family at this hour of need.
Help 1! Stand now, Cooper, hold!
I said before, one of the most courageous players ever to play the game in the modern era, and I maintain that. And we see a mistake from the Kiwis, looking to, well, overplay their hand early in the tackle count. And if Shifty Sheens was looking for a tablet, then I reckon Stephen Kearney would be asking for some help from the doctor.
After a penalty, second play, Frank Paul goes straight at Cameron Smith and does so well to bust the line. Forgets about hitting the deck and playing the ball and tries to throw a speculator to Eastwood.
Cameron. Head in, Adam. Adam. Ball in.
So both teams struggling to get into any rhythm in the first 5.5 minutes of the second half. Our last half of the rugby league season. What a year it's been. Queensland dominating in Origin again. And here we are tonight on the international stage with scores locked at 6 apiece. All of a sudden, there's a hush around the ground as Cooper Cronk gets the football. Bird gets rid of the ball. A bat back from Slater. That's okay. Cameron Smith. Fancy stuff to Carey. Not sure where to go. Says, okay, that's the try line. I'll head towards the Caxton. Cooper Cronk. Crossfield kick. Looking for Morris. Oh, well diffused it was. Sam Perrott has saved the day with a big play, a super play.
Magic. AFL style, hands up, palms facing the football. Under pressure as well from Morris, who's a foot taller. Did so well, Perrott, there.
Well, we've seen black jumpers reach for the sky in Brisbane before, but that's normally when Collingwood play across the other side of the river at the Gabba.
Last one, up now!
New Zealand getting play back up towards halfway, thankfully. Luke plays it back. Now another jinking run from Marshall, who lights up the turf at the Cauldron. A kick, a chase, getting back Skindley, and the Kiwis don't get the bounce. But the Aussies were at 6s and 7s.
I was watching Benji when the pressure come on him to kick the football, and they were forcing him to go back to his left. And then I sensed he was going to run, but I really wanted him to kick the ball because it was a tough passage of play, and the Kiwis needed to get a kick. But his brilliance busted straight through, and he's still got a kick away. The bounce not favouring Perrott as a replacement, and Gidley just shields the ball close to touch. Sam McKendry hasn't re-entered the fray, and I wonder when he will for the Kiwis. He took a knock in the first couple of minutes and has just 3 hit-ups to his name. He's had an extended spell on the bench, as you see pictures of Benji Marshall.
Eight gone in the second half. We will find out if Stephen Kearney is maybe looking to surprise his opponent, Tim Sheens, in the back end of the game. Cameron Smith, again, providing good service for Matthew Scott, playing direct, as they say in the modern-day rugby league vernacular. Cameron Smith again, man who captained the side again last week in the absence of Darren Lockyer. Cooper Cronk with the bomb. Oh, professional take, courageous take from Nightingale.
They might not be the biggest our wingers, Perrott and Nightingale, but boy, they're accomplished in a plumb under the high ball. They have no fear. This game's loosening up a bit with the markers now going down to 1, such as the speed of the play the ball. Here we see the take. Cops a little bit of a facial from Takiri.
Sam Perrott is seized upon by Gidley.
You shorten it.
Just remembering the Australians down to a 2-man bench with Luke Lewis.
Last one, Cameron!
And Brent Tate, the 2 casualties here tonight for the green and golds. On the last, Nathan Feen putting boot to ball. A little bit of backspin, it pulls up. Slater's back there. Morris has got there, and they jam him.
Isaac Luke coming in from the blind side. Good kick it was too, long again from Feen. A little bit of backspin, as you called it. Australian Open is on at the moment.
Well, speaking of Tiger, here's one of the Tigers, Takiri. Thaiday stopped in his tracks. 11 short of halfway. No change to the halftime score. Lockyer with a far-reaching kick. Nightingale sets his sights and looks to come through the other side.
Smart play. Lockyer with the long kick, but guess what? He made Lockyer the tackler as well. Ran straight at him. Ho-Hire finding some space.
We move into the final half hour of the final, a double change for the Kiwis. With Manu and Nuasala both being relieved of their commission. Kenny Dow, an elusive customer, isn't he?
David!
40 metres away. And look at this jack in the box, Luke. Back on the inside. Pressure building on Australia. And the Kiwis looking to turn the screws and to take the lead. Metalino. It breaks down. Well, it goes into the end goal. It trickles over the dead ball. That is disappointing.
Ben Metalino found the ball in his arms on the last play. Isaac Luke had McKendry to pass to. Chanced his arm and busted through. Kenny Dow finds it. And his fiend got taken out. Matalino with the no-look pass. Bit of Pele, soccer skills.
Aussies come away with possession here beyond the 30. And then Paul Gallen. Bit of bash and bruise coming up for the Kiwis.
Quicker, Benji!
Willie Tonga plays it 9 short of halfway. Gallen gets rid of his boarding pass. He'll be relishing the prospect of getting stuck into his opponents. Lockyer, inside ball to nobody. Cameron Smith.
Monstered by McKendry as well.
Well, he was on a hiding to nothing.
Last one!
5 metres, Kiwi side of halfway. Cooper Cronk. A chip over the top into no man's land. And look to get the second kick away. Luckily for the Kiwis, it ends up in the hands of Lance Hohaya.
Well, everyone took a big, deep breath there. There are 3 Kiwis around the football. All just having a bo peep at it. It's Cooper Cronk. Could have got a second grab on it. Would have kept going. Matalino. The left-hand edge. 2 to bring him down.
Luke. Keeping the Aussies guessing. Was that an incorrect play of the ball? In the NRL, I think they would have penalised him, but not tonight. They keep it going. Kenny Dow. Well, a panic pass perhaps, but luckily for the Kiwis, they've still got the Steeden. More through good luck than management. Nightingale plays it back. The last, a hurried kick from Hohaya. And Gidley has all the time under the sun to catch the footy.
New Zealand finding some holes in this Australian defence. Australia scrambling particularly well out wide. But Isaac Luke is having a field day with his running game. 5-8. Just wants to get one straight and hard up the middle.
Nate Miles is dealt with as this trench warfare continues. The stalemate continues. 6-6 at the Cauldron. Leroy Lars, this big bopper. Like a runaway train up towards halfway. A roll on for the Kangaroos. Smith scheming out of dummy half. Getting the kick away. Hohaya links with Nightingale. And Kennedy prevails.
It's a great passage of play, this. Could be a match-defining passage as well, because both teams are getting to their kicks, and the kicks are staying in play. Changes Luke and Eastwood off.
Matalino. Chant goes up for the Kiwis. Australia haven't skipped a beat since losing the World Cup final at this venue 2 years ago. But the Kiwis tonight are in this one up to their eyeballs, and this will help their cause. I'm not sure if Archer's got it right.
You're so right. Cameron Smith was the Australian player. Was he all over his Melbourne teammate in the play of the ball? Well, suggestions there that once he's placed the ball, the boot of Cameron Smith has actually interfered with it, so fair call.
Let's go, boys. Hold it.
What we do know is that New Zealand are in good field position all of a sudden. This is Matalino. Named in 15, he's lost the ball. He's lost the handle.
So now we see again the play of the ball.
Well, I reckon he got a helping hand there. Nate Miles. Well, I won't say he was all over him like a cheap suit, but he wasn't far away.
So hard to pick up everything, the referees, but it's right there in front of them.
Heads in, wait there, Jeremy.
Oh, high shot. Jeremy Smith is in strife. A lazy arm, no malice, penalty sufficient. Bird was on the receiving end. In fact, correction, it wasn't Jeremy Smith. Well, it was a team effort.
Two of them got him. He's been good on the left as Greg Bird since the second half started. Somewhat taken it upon himself to right the ship for Australia. So straight off the scrum. What? You reckon she's a bit nervy in the Australian box there?
Well, they got some drinks up there. They're not going to end up like Burke and Wills. Lockyer the tap. Leroy Lars is repelled and keeps coming.
Hold one up now! Hold, mate, hold. Go on.
Cronk, couple of dummies. Slater. He hits the go button, but Benji was there. Was there a second effort? No, says Archer. Cronk, Gallen. Bird! They keep it going! Try time for Billy the Kid! Billy Slater goes in, looking to bury those demons of 2 years ago. And the Australians regain the lead.
Oh, how costly the play the ball from Matalino to start them on their way, Australia. The Kiwis have spent some work defending the blind side all week. And when Gallant decides to come back on the unders line from Cronk, guess who he finds? We've been talking to him up in Bird. They played together at Cronulla. And Slater had Tonga on the outside, backed himself with a nice step, left foot step, and crosses over. So a nice structured attack against a tiring defence, but a disappointing one because it's something the Kiwis have worked on, short side defence, all week.
Well, he didn't play last week, remembering that they brought in the Churchill medal winner and Darius Boyd, and rushed back into the Australian side tonight. One of 4 survivors, as I said earlier, from the horrors of 08 as far as the Kangaroos are concerned. And he scores the try not far away from where he had that brain explosion that Kiwi rugby league fans will fondly recall. Still a lot of clock to go, and the stalemate has been finally broken. This to give the Aussies a 6-point buffer. 4 in from touch. On its way, he's got it. Up they go at Suncorp. The locals rejoice, and why not? It's the Roos at 12-6.
Perfect execution. Everyone knew what they were doing.
Stay behind!
Billy Slater knows where to position himself on a play.
So the Aussies with Leroy Lars and their tails up.
Hold! Hold! Go!
They had a 6-point buffer for the vast majority of the first half. And now that cushion has been restored as we go into the final quarter of the final. Miles, just his second test match, plays it back.
He fell awkwardly, Miles, there in the tackle of Smith. He's still dazed and with the trainer at the back in the orange.
Cooper Cronk. Big kick on him. Perrott got back there, sensing that. And here's Hohaya. Oh! No thought of self-preservation.
So Greg Bird, after delivering a nice little pass to the opening of the second half try for Slater, it just shows Lance Hohaya. He's pretty solid in the tackle as well.
3! Greg!
Right there. You run onto my shoulder, I'll put you on your backside.
Well, he had a close-up at the blade. I'll give him that. And here's a fumble. Penny Dow has knocked on.
Loose carry, mate.
Loose carry, in the words of Tony Archer. And I won't labour on the subject, but it's been spoken about by a number of astute judges, his carry of the football.
Courtesy of 3 Australian tacklers over the top was Tonga doing the damage. Well, such as the running style of Sean Kenny-Dow, that when he starts to go sideways and winds up with that big gait of his, waves his arms around carrying the football, I think it's sometimes impossible to carry the ball correctly. You can't have one without the other.
Tim Sheens, master coach, looking on anxiously. He won't be comfortable, far from it. Here's Takiri. Leroy Lars. Part of this renaissance, if you like, with the Canberra Raiders. What sort of a pass was that? Thaiday was the recipient. I know that much. And there's a punch-up in back play as we stick with the action. Bird, a strip by Marshall. Should be 6 to go. It is 6 to go. Gallen. The Aussies now looking to blow this game wide open. They stack the short side. Cooper Cronk scheming on this left side corridor. In support with Bird. Cronk, a show and go. Lockyer, Thaiday, beats one. Can't pop it back. The Kiwis are being stretched. Lockyer. Gidley. Oh, he got picked off. Ball goes backwards. Gidley with the scraps. Does well to recover. Tonga. Takiri. He ran out of real estate.
Great D. Australia again using the width now that they've got some possession. Really testing the defence of the Kiwis. Tonga trying to take Sean Kenny-Dow to school, but he's up to it, allowing Nightingale to put enough attention on Takiri and knock him out. There's a scuffle in the back. And guess who it was? Thaiday and Feen again. They were at it. Having a real battle, those two. Thaiday holding on to the jumper of Nathan Feen at the ruck and the play the ball. The little man not happy about being manhandled. There it is there. So you watch as he gets up to play the ball. Now Thaiday won't let go of his jumper. So he's push and shove. He still holds his jumper. He's disciplined, but you can't hold the marker.
No, you can't. You can't touch them. It's like touching the Pope. Anyway, Mannering's got the football.
Hold, Tom, hold.
16 minutes remaining in the contest. Kiwi 6 off the pace. And Perrott with a mini break. And there's another fight on. Well, this game is getting out of control.
Let me tell you this. Jeremy Smith here, as we'll get a replay of it, was coming up in support.
I've got that, mate. Chapter 3.
And then all of a sudden he is taken out and cleaned up by an Australian, and he's not happy about it.
Away. Darren, just take them all away.
So Boyle over. We thought thered be a little bit of fireworks here.
But it's still going on. Look at Jeremy Smith. If looks could kill.
Go away, mate. Take them away, mate. Take them right away.
Here it is. He was a support runner for Perrott. Now you watch this. You watch Bird. Just absolutely poleaxes him. Sure, it wasn't the worst thing I've seen, but it's a professional foul.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then Smith says, I'm not having any of that.
Well, he took matters into his own hands.
Yeah. Okay. Go away.
Vigilante stop.
Hey, Adam. Right back there. Right back there. Nathan. Nathan, can you go back there? No. Go back there. Benji.
I'll tell you what, I sent a message to Greg Dowling at half-time.
Jeremy.
And I said, Kevin's looking for you. And that scuffle, punch up at half-time prompted that. I reckon both would be loving
Brandon,
this.
he pushed you first. Yeah. Don't get. Hey, listen to me. Don't get up and react. That's what caused the spin.
He almost breaks his neck. Push him in the back.
Benji. You get up and do something like that, he ends up sitting down. It's just silly stuff. You're going to get the penalty. You're going to get the penalty. It goes against you first. Don't react, right? Greg Bird!
Good work from Benji Marshall. He's helping Tony Archer ref the game. He could have broken his neck,
Yes.
he says.
He comes in. I was just running back and forth. Mate, you pushed him out of the road, which started that. Hey, you don't push him, he don't punch you, so it doesn't start.
Contact sport, mate.
Yeah, I know that, but you can't go around just pushing blokes out there who don't have the ball. It's a penalty to New Zealand.
Well, if there was any doubt.
Okay, so we win that battle. More importantly, it's what we do from here.
Time back on.
Well, Tony Archer, being a New South Welshman, just to illustrate to our audience, is generally not a popular figure in this part of the world. His most recent decision will not help his popularity north of the River Tweed. More importantly, it opens the door for the Kiwis. 27 away. McKendry, not happy. Nice hands from Smith. Eastwood the carry. Bang in front of the sticks, attacking the Milton Road end of Suncorp. Marshall dumps it off. And his second row colleague, and Harrison gets chopped down. Smith and Thaiday doing the honours. He lost the ball. He had the ball ripped out.
Have a look at the work of Cameron Smith in the tackle, and as they get up, just clamping onto the ball.
Hello, false start, false start. Do that at the Olympics, you don't get a medal. Here we go, once more. McKendry. This is becoming beyond a joke. I'll tell you what, Gallen on this occasion, he's lucky not to have been binned.
Right there.
As far as professional fouls are concerned, that's up there with the best.
Hold one, clear the ruck. Clear the ruck.
4 metres out, right in front of the sticks. Smith, Eastwood. Lost the ball. This time, he did not get a helping hand.
It's heartbreaking. New Zealand's best player tonight, and Eastwood charged at Lockyer. Couldn't quite hold on to the football. Thaiday was there as well, but they've got it right. They've got their best runner at Lockyer, and then he spills the ball.
The Australians now 35 out from their own goal line. They would have been sucking in the big ones. If there was ozone depletion above Suncorp, it would have been understandable. Greg Bird grimacing as he goes to ground. Cronk keeps it low, keeps it deep, kicks it dead.
So for the second half for New Zealand, it's their completion rate, which is really coming to haunt them. It's dropped under 70%, and Australia have got theirs way up to 79% after a poor start in the first half. So the message was simple from Sheens: get to the end and make sure you complete.
The Australians, of course, coming through undefeated in the lead up to tonight's final. Of rusty performances, first up against the Kumals at Parramatta and then against England in Melbourne before dealing with the Kiwis last Saturday in front of that bumper crowd at Eden Park. And hats off to everybody who put their hand up and came through the turnstiles last weekend for that historic and successful doubleheader. Eastwood with some heavy contact. 12 to go. The gap is 6. Still 6. This kick will sit up for Slater, and he's got work to do. They will jam him, and that's arguably the play of the game, or it could well be if they can convert this into points.
Remember the bounce in the first half when Nightingale set up for him, and they trapped him in goal. Billy Slater won't repeat his language, but he gets a bounce now as well. Sits up perfectly, the kick from Feen. And there they are, Mannering, Ho higher. 2 to lead the chase. Feen was there as well. And Perrott 4 of them bury him back over the line.
Cameron, let's go, mate.
There's a black ambush. Marshall contemplating his next move.
Start again.
Blair, hit and spin.
Come on!
Gallon looking for the shoulder.
Hold ya. Oh, Jack, run.
Ball security so crucial at the back end of the game with a 12-6 scoreline. Marshall, Harrison, surely has to go to ground, pops it on the inside, and fortuitously for the Kiwis, they hold it through Kenny Dowell. If you spilt your beer watching the game in your lounge room, I can understand. Fiend dumps it off. Ho higher. Not sure where to go. And all of a sudden the Kiwis, they look rudderless. They still keep it going. Luke got the arm free, got the ball free. Fiend 9 metres away. Inside the final 10. Marshall, a kick. Nightingale! And he goes there! Yes, baby, yes! Nightingale diving on the bouncing ball. Gleefully, they will check the tape. But if first impressions count, we may well have a tied ball game once again.
Oh, the kick from Benji Marshall is a ripper. He does the no-look pass, and here he does the no-look kick. Is he onside? He's onside. Now the grounding's the only problem. I wish it stopped making me nervous and just award it now.
He's got it
all right.
Hey?
No problem there, baby. Slides in. Marvellous. Finding it difficult to break Australia's defence at this end of the field. They're masters at slowing the play the ball up as we see the green light and the try awarded.
Russell Smith obliges. Don't touch that dial. 12 plays 10, and Marshall will line up the shot at goal to make it a neat dozen all round.
Australia's speed in their line of defence off their own line is the best I've seen. It takes the time away from players like Marshall and Fiend to play and forces them to chance their arm and do something different. So Benji takes it upon himself. He's up to the challenge to drop it in. And a skillful finisher like Nightingale in his 19th test.
Hey, Chook, what about that kick into the end goal? And what about the chase?
What about this kick?
Oh. Pressure kick coming up for Marshall. 12 in from touch. He's a picture of concentration. He has hit the upright and missed it. No goal. The Kangaroo fans celebrate. They can't believe it. And it remains 12-10 to the Aussies.
They can't believe it. How do you think we're feeling? Boy, that's some skill there. Drop that kick in there. How can it hit the inside of the post and not go over? Please.
I think we've got a few more twists and turns left in the last 8 minutes. Marshall lamenting what might have been. I reckon if you put the Aussie supporters on the spot, they would have backed him in.
Well, how important Cameron Smith, his 2 goals from touch.
Awkward play the ball. Archer permits play to continue.
3, release Cameron!
How? How can you play on? It's incorrect. Play the ball.
This is Greg Eastwood. Coming back into the NRL out of Headingley, home of the Leeds Rhinos.
Both Luluai and Luke on the field. Luluai playing In a back row position. What about the bounce?
Chip over the top, and Slater's back there. Geez, he anticipates so well. To Kiwi. Lockyer, the acting half, hands it on to Gidley, the Newcastle captain.
So with 6.5 to go. It's just a matter of letting them get through their set. No penalties, no mistakes, and possession is the key for New Zealand here. They need to hold the ball and work their way out.
Last one, Thomas!
The Aussies with Lockyer getting that kick away off that trusty left boot. Hohire gets rid of the Australian captain, but can't evade the clutches of Thaiday.
That was a good tackle by Thaiday.
Willie Tonga! 2.
Nightingale plays it back.
3.
Mannering will rise to play it. 15 short of halfway. Some of these Kiwis, well, you could almost get a cast net and basically engulf almost all of the 13 players on the park. Kenny Dowell. Chopped down by Bird. Last has been signalled. Marshall got the kick away. Slater with only eyes for the football. Oh, Billy Slater! He has made a meal of it right in front of his own sticks. 2 years after that infamous brain explosion, he's fluffed it again.
The height of the kick and the time it was up there just threw a little question mark, just a little one, into Billy Slater's mind. It just took too long to come down. It was an easy swallow, really.
Swallow?
It wasn't a spiral bomb. It wasn't waving around in the air. It was rotating nicely. But just a little question mark. Okay, game on. Wouldn't you love to have Frank Pritchard sitting on the left edge now, 10 metres out from the line?
Well, there's no Pritchard, there's no Vartuve. That's 2 years ago where he tried to do the impossible, and Marshall capitalised as we come back live to Suncorp here in Brisbane, the scene of the crime, if you like, as far as Billy's concerned. Harrison, the Kiwis, just 2 points in arrears with less than 5 to go. They have not been in front at all tonight. Can they crack them now? Luke Smith surging towards the goal line. Just short. Stopped by his opposite number in Gallen. Hohire with nice hands. Marshall to nobody. And luckily for the Kiwis, they've still got it through their captain. Last play coming up. Hohire's the go-to man. And Billy Slater, well, his heart must have been in his mouth.
Just the little things there. The first pass from dummy half was a poor one. And it was Finn who had to catch it round his bootlaces, which stopped the momentum. And then took some time off Marshall, who had nowhere to go in the end. So Hohire on the last play puts one through the line, but Slater was, a shot from Eastwood. Good shoulder on Gidley.
Cameron Smith beats 1, beats 2. Tries to get away from Luluwa. Eastwood comes back to help out. Fine run it was. Cooper Cronk charged down by Isaac Luke. 6 to go. Slater's got it and will succumb.
Tackle 1. Hold, German. Hold. Thomas!
Just over 3 to go. The Kangaroos clinging to a 2-point advantage. The reigning Four Nations champions holding the ascendancy, but only just. Gidley is in reverse. Scott.
Last one to me and hold.
and final. Signalled by Archer. Cronk. Nightingale. Safety first.
2.5 to go. Possibly one more set after this one for the Kiwis. 90 to go, however, in distance. 80.
Keep going, keep going. Feed. Across to Manu. Sika plays it back. Mannering hits it up.
Last one, Paul Gallen.
Now the last has been signalled, ideally like a 40-20. Marshall running the football. Kenny Dow! And he keeps it going. Nightingale! Back on the inside of Lockyer. Marshall! Benji! Keeps it going. A pass over the top. And Nathan Fein scores! And the Kiwis with a freakish try! I don't believe it!
Oh, Costo! Have they done it? He's gone upstairs. He can't rule on a forward pass. I thought there was a forward pass when Nightingale shifted it back infield. I'm praying it hasn't touched anyone. Look at them. Kenny Dow comes down here. Keep your feet in, son. And he does. And here, this was the pass over the top. Lockyer will put his hands up. It goes right through there. Benji takes it there. Cronk comes across.
Well, that's a pass, and it's gone backwards for mine if there was any doubt. That angle may not show it.
They have done it again, the Kiwis.
Talk about Harry Houdini. Nathan Fein scoring the try. Marshall running the football. And here we go. Yeah, baby, yeah. Off go the fireworks. And a mortal blow inflicted on the Kangaroos at 14-12. Less than 90 seconds to go. And the Kiwis hit the lead for the first time in the final.
What about the 3 tries New Zealand have scored tonight? Have all been set up by guess who? Benji Marshall. You watch the pass here. 3 on the outside. Throws the long pass to Kenny Dow. Unselfish. Did so well, Kenny Dow. That was the pass I had the question mark on. I thought it drifted forward.
Fair enough.
But they can't rule on that. And then Benji flicks it over the back. Hoping someone's there. And Nathan Fein. Oh, boy, oh, boy. I didn't realise Tony Kemp could jump that high.
Well, if there's an earthquake in Brisbane, we know why. And Benji Marshall, fair income, Fein might have scored the try. But the New Zealand captain, I'll call it now, he is the David Copperfield of International Rugby League. He is a genius, this bloke. He has taken the bull by the horns and wrestled it to ground. From close range. It's a sitter for Marshall, the architect of this one. And this time he's got it. There's only 15 seconds to go. Lockyer wants a quick restart. I don't know if he'll get it. And the Aussies, they are resigned to the inevitable. The expats, they are lapping this up. Shallow restart. Who's going to catch the football? It's bounced back to Billy Slater. A Hail Mary. Forward pass is the call. It's over. And the Kiwis have done it. Benji Marshall and New Zealand celebrate a famous victory. For the second time in 2 years, they've come to Brisbane and grabbed the trophy.
Oh, this is what makes it worthwhile. These scenes, special. Not the first time as well. Benji Marshall. That's big Manu Vakuva. Look at the size of the cast. Brilliant play. Fortuitous down the end.
Well, let's go downstairs. Lavina Good is standing by with the man of the moment.
Benji Marshall, what a difference a week makes in rugby league.
Oh, definitely. Can't can't explain. You know, we copped criticism during the week, and everyone read us off. We had great support from home. You know, we really had a lot of belief tonight, and we done it. Yeah.
Benji, it was such an arm wrestle. Defensively, the best effort from the Kiwis tonight. Defence wins games.
Yeah, look, the boys, we dug deep. They had us under the pump most of the game, and just so proud to be a Kiwi and so proud to lead the boys.
You had your critics throughout the week, but you had faith in the team. You knew as captain you could do it here tonight in Australia.
Definitely, we had all the belief in the world, and you know, it took us the 80 minutes to get the win, but we done it. Yeah.
I know Wayne Bennett's chatted to you this week, but how much of this effort was for Stephen Kearney? How much has he inspired you as a team?
Yeah, a lot of it. You know, he's been wonderful for New Zealand Rugby League, just instilling discipline and the culture in our team, and you know, not just that, the people behind the scenes, Jim Doyle and the New Zealand Rugby League team, doing a great job. So just so proud.
You've had some Kiwi fans here tonight, but to your Kiwi fans back in New Zealand, a massive thank you.
Big thank you. Thanks for turning up last week. You know, we know we underperformed. Just want to say hi to Mum and all the family back home, and see you soon. Holiday.
Well, a holiday that is richly deserved. This is just unbelievable scenes we are witnessing here. Party time in the river city of Brisbane, and why not the Kiwis with some second half highlights.
Well,
Australia, I was going to say, Chuck, they got the ball rolling.
Well, first of all, Tatey starts the ball rolling, as we've seen other times, and then the first play from Benji Marshall, setting up Sean Kenny-Dow, who continues a wow of a year. Was it a little bit forward? Well, it was flat at best, but it was a great line. So they went to the break, courtesy of this try at 6-all, and the game was typically an arm wrestle. And as the second half started open, Australia put a set play on down the blind side. Billy Slater doesn't often finish a game without being on the score sheet, and he does so in the second half, this one as well. And from there, the game opened up. The running yards from New Zealand were huge. Smith with a second sideline conversion, and then New Zealand, it was their chance to attack. Benji Marshall couldn't break them with the passing, decided to go to the foot. Brilliant work from his wingman and Nightingale with the slide and the catch and then the grounding. And Benji Marshall, when he lined his kick up, he thought it's swinging in inside of the post, but bounces out. And then they made us hold our breath. And they gave it to the man, the magic man again. He did it with a pass, a long one to Kenny-Dow, who fed on to Nightingale. And as the speculator went infield, guess who was there to pick it up again? And Benji thought he'd score himself. Hallelujah. Out the back, he said, and Nathan Fein was there. And I'm out of breath, and I'll throw it over to you, Costa.
Well, hallelujah. I think we'll all be in church tomorrow morning. The Australians, as you see the Kiwis celebrate, they are so distraught. No one wants to speak, but a man who's not frightened to speak is Greg Eastwood. He's standing by with Lavina.
Greg Eastwood, your coach Stephen Kearney said this match would be won up front. What an arm wrestle for the forwards tonight.
Yeah, you know, it was tough, you know. It was always going to be one in the middle, and, you know, our forwards certainly turned up tonight and dominated, you know. It was a lot better performance last week, you know. I think we've done our country and families proud.
You have done your country and your family proud, and league fans. What a lift in intensity from this Kiwi team.
Yeah, you know, we spoke about it all week. You know, we really had to lift it. You know, it was disappointing, like I said last week. And, you know, the boys turned up tonight, you know, and lifted it from the start, you know, and our backs finished it off.
So important to start strong in both halves.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, it's a game 80 minutes, so, you know, it was that important. You know, we had to start well and finish well, and we did that.
And you felt like you owed it to the fans from last week at Eden Park?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, it was disappointing last week for the fans that turned up, and, you know, for the people that come out tonight, you know, it was awesome. And, you know, we can bring it back to New Zealand, the Four Nations.
I know you're looking forward to the NRL, but how good does it feel to wear that black jersey?
Oh, it's extreme. You know, words can't describe how you feel when you put it on.
Congratulations.
Thanks for that. So.
Four Nations champions, world champions. Oh my goodness, that's got a nice ring to it.
Oh mate, it's just outstanding. These guys showed true character out there. They were down, they were beaten at times. They just stood up, they defended so well, and they definitely played for each other. They showed the brotherhood tonight.
They did show the sorry, Wally Lewis looked across at me and went, how good's that? Let's have a look at the score and scorers, shall we, of this full game that has seen the Kiwis triumph 16-12 in the final of the 2010 Four Nations. Good start in each half by the Kangaroos. Tries to Tate and Slater And then Kenny Dowell and Nightingale and Fiend finish it off. Marshall kicking 2 from 3. Smith 2 from 2. There's more on the other side. Soak it up, folks. Kiwis, Four Nations champions, World champions. I'll just keep going. We'll be back shortly live at Suncorp.
The My Zone, in the zone moment. Well, what a moment it was. It came at the very back end of the game, and it belonged to Nathan Fiend. Mind you, he had some mates. How good was this? It'll become part of Kiwi Rugby League folklore. Yes, Nathan Fiend among the heroes for the Kiwis tonight. Another one is Sean Kenny Dowell. He's with Lavina Good.
Sean, to beat Australia on their own turf, how sweet is a victory like that?
Yeah, it's definitely sweet. You know, we knew we had a lot of improvement, and to the boys' credit, you know, we come out in there and perform to the very best, and we got the win, and it feels unbelievable.
What's the difference in the side tonight to what it was a week ago at Eden Park?
Definitely, I think attitude. You know, we had came up with the right attitude today, and yeah, the boys were just awesome out there today, and it feels really good.
As a spectator, that defence was absolutely punishing tonight.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we worked a lot on that during that training at the week, so the boys come out and executed on the day, and they did a really good job in the forwards, and the backs did too, so it feels good.
And the second half went to plan, although there were still a few mistakes early in the second 40?
Yeah, the boys held their composure, and we fought right to the end, and luckily to come away with the win in the end, so it's good.
At any stage, did you think you might not be the Four Nations champs, or was the faith always there, Sean?
Yeah, it was always there. You know, we believe that we've got the talent, and it showed in the end, and we fought back and got a victory in the end.
A remarkable win. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, let's have a look at the full-time match stats. 3 tries to 2 to the Kiwis. Makes for very interesting reading, Chuck.
The completion rate for Australia, look at that, 65%. But turn the page, and the one over the page, which was really there, some missed tackles by Australia will read 28, offloads to New Zealand 21, and metres run. At half-time, it was all square at about 500 each, and New Zealand have come out and run 250 metres more in the second half than Australia.
Well, Lavina's been earning her keep post-match. She is standing by with the man who scored the winning try.
And we wanted to come out and really, you know, test the Aussies with a few, you know, the key areas that we let ourselves down in last week, and we were able to do that, and we forced a few errors. We were able to build a lot of pressure tonight, and, you know, it's a fantastic performance. You know, Benji, just the ultimate captain's run out there tonight, and come up with, some sensational options when, you know, nothing was really happening. So, really proud. It's awesome.
Such a difficult task to keep Darren Lockyer quiet in any test match.
Oh, you look at their whole back line, their forward pack. They got star players everywhere, and you know, as I said, we let ourselves down last week, but tonight, you know, we really wanted to muscle up and show that we really were brothers, because last week it was all talk, and you know, tonight was about the actions, and perfect finish for her. Topped off a great year. Love it, love it.
Can you shed some light on what Stephen Kearney said to you at halftime?
Oh, look, he was very happy, but the job was only half done, obviously, and you know, we needed to get back out there and get those actions happening again, and you know, we sort of stumbled a little bit. They were first to score, but you know, we hung in there, we were able to get back in it, and Four Nations champion, world champions.
How does this rate in sense of your achievements with your NRL and also with your Four Nations and the world champs?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It definitely tops off a great year for me personally. You know, come a long way from the injury in round 1, and you know, to get the opportunity to win a premiership with the Dragons, and you know, even be selected again back with the Kiwis, I was just very proud. But to do it tonight with the boys, it's been a long campaign, and you know, very, very happy.
And what about the camaraderie in this team, in this Kiwi team?
Yeah, look, it's always, you know, we're always like a big family when we get back together, and you know, we showed out there tonight. That's what it's all about. Last week, you know, we probably come up a little short, but tonight we were definitely a family. We did it for each other. That bloke standing next to us, so that's what it's all about.
Time to celebrate with the family.
That's it. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So Benji Marshall now goes forward in preparation of lifting the silverware.
Here it is, the Rugby League Four Nations Trophy. New Zealand champions. Savour this moment.
Have a look at that. Have a look at that.
Last time round, Nathan Kalis.
You just don't understand how much this means to us tonight. You know, first of all, I'd just like to thank the Australian team for another outstanding, solid game. You know, you've been the benchmark for a number of years, and we're just trying to close that gap, and thank you for the game tonight. just like to thank our major sponsors for New Zealand. Flight Centre, Malaysia Airlines and Rivera. We couldn't do it without you guys. Also like to thank Jim Doyle, New Zealand Rugby League staff for the effort they've put in this year and last year to get us where we want to be. And before I thank the team, I'd just like to thank the New Zealand supporters for coming out for us tonight. Yeah. We've done it. And last of all, to my boys, it's a pleasure to stand up here and be your captain. We've done a lot of hard work. We come back this week. Just for the boys, put your hands in the air. Fist pumping. Yeah!
There you have it, folks. Let's get the party started, says Marshall.
Stage is the Kiwi captain. Right now, let's bring them on in number order, ladies and gentlemen. He played his 26th test tonight. Lance O'Hire, the fullback for the Kiwis. Number 2, a premiership and a try in tonight's game, Jason Nightingale. Another try scorer tonight, SKD, Sean Kenny Dow. A man who went to the centres tonight, number 12, Simon Mannering. Sam Perrott, ladies and gentlemen, his 19th test tonight. Nathan Thean scored the match winner, the halfback. Number 8, Greg Eastwood, absolutely outstanding. Thomas Lulawai, the hooker, his 26th test for the man from Wigan. Adam Blair, his 20th test tonight for the Kiwis. Bronson Harrison in the back row. Ben Martellino came into the starting side also in the back row. Jeremy Smith, a brilliant season for him at lock forward. Isaac Luke coming off the bench tonight. Frank Paul Nuwasala. Sam McKendry, also a late entry tonight into the starting side. Sikamanu came off the bench. Congratulations also to Jared Wawira Hargraves and Lewis Brown, and of course their coach, Stephen Kearney. New Zealand winners of the Rugby League Four Nations. Thanks again to our official party, Colin Love and Scott Carter. The winners in 2010 of the Rugby League Four Nations, New Zealand.
Raise your right hand. Fist ball.
Don't you get a feeling of deja vu? Go back to late October 2008, now go to November 13, 2010. Four Nations champion 2010, world champions. I cannot describe the feeling, but this one feels right.
Well, you go back to last week, these players and every fan in New Zealand of Rugby League held their head in their hands after a poor performance. There was bad publicity. This week, stand up New Zealand, your boys have done you proud.
They have indeed, and there was a real feeling. I had someone come along to me and say the game started at about halftime after the stink, they said, and there was a real feeling in the body language of the Kiwis was just right. The Kangaroos went in knowing they were down another man, and their shoulders were hunching, and Wally Lewis, the king, came along to us and said, you know, I think you boys are in for the hunt. But he said to me, Wally Lewis said to us, he said, Jeremy Smith is the key to this side. Guess who's with Lavina?
Jeremy, you have the war wounds to prove it was a tough match out there, plenty of spice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Whenever we play Aussie, it's always physical, and there's nothing short of that tonight.
What was the key to beating Australia this evening in the final?
I think just staying in the arm wrestle with them. You know, we stuck it out. They got an early try on us, and then we come back, and at half-time we were 6-all, and then second half we come out and, we managed to get an arm wrestle, like I said, and we come out with the goods.
They didn't seem to have so many options in attack tonight. That comes down to defence, obviously.
Yeah, we worked hard on defence all week, and it paid off tonight, when it counted. Last week was disappointing. Everyone was feeling sore and sorry for himself, and we got out tonight and we made up for it.
Apparently Wayne Bennett has had a few words to you throughout the week to lift maybe some enthusiasm with the Kiwis.
Yeah, he come in yesterday and he said a few things to fire the boys up a bit, but that's what he's all about.
I think you mentioned something about brotherhood. No issues with the brotherhood tonight.
Yeah, no, definitely not. We're one big family, and shows tonight.
Well done, champions.
Cheers, thank you.
Jeremy Jeremy Smith, Premiership winner, World Cup winner, Four Nations winner. I like that tag winner. I'll say it one more time. That makes it 5 times. Winners, there they are, the Kiwis, Four Nations champions. Jeremy Smith on the pack. They never let up from the first whistle, and they were all over. There were 3-man, there were gang tackles all the way through, and Australia did not cope.
Well, it was a great effort from the forward pack. Benji, before the game, said that his forward pack needed to step up. They did. Adam Blair was outstanding. Eastwood, when he come on, was great. Simon Mannering playing in the centres was all over the park, so it was a great team performance.
Go and keep smiling as we'll go to Stephen Kearney. He's with Lavina.
Stephen, how do you turn a side around in just 7 days to put in a performance like they did tonight against Australia?
It was easy because they played poorly last week, and you know, we knew that we had a lot better performance in us. And I was very, very proud of them tonight. They gave themselves an opportunity right up until the last minute of the game, and you can't ask for more than that from the boys.
At halftime, you knew you were in with this match, didn't you?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I thought we didn't start the second half real well. I thought we were a bit loose, a bit scrappy, but again, you know, we hung in there, gave ourselves a chance, and you know, come up with a pretty good play at the end there to snatch the victory. So
hard to name just one player out there in black that played well. It was such a team effort tonight.
It was, and it needed to be. It needed to be. I thought Greg Eastwood has been outstanding through the whole tournament. So no, I'm just very proud of them all.
How tough is it being a coach of the Kiwis, mate?
Yeah, no, it was. It was very tough up in that box. Very tough. But no, I'm pleased. I'm pleased that we've got the right result, and very happy for our game.
You enjoy the victory in the haka?
I will do. I will do.
Hard to believe. The Kiwis finished with Kowaiara, the haka that they demanded of the senior management that they were allowed to do last week, Eden Park. They said it backfired. They came to the party, and the men in black are certainly back.
Oh, the men in black are back. Fantastic, boys. You've done us all proud. You've done your country proud. Have a good rest over the off-season. I think that some of them are going to need it.
Yeah, the off-season's already underway, but that signals an end to a very, very long but exciting rugby league season here on Sky Sport. Just think about this. We're back in the footy in 17 weeks' time, but you can go to bed tonight, tomorrow morning, I think it's Sunday morning at home, with the fact that your Kiwis are world champions and now Four Nations champions. Sleep easy, but God, we love it.